Hey, everybody. Good evening. Oh, good. The stream starts right as a train goes by my house. Hey, everybody. My name's DM Jazzy Hands, also known as Eugenio, and I am the brand new DM for Crituitous RP's I just blanked on the name. Half Rate Heroes. There it is. Good.
Oh,
going well.
You are fine.
We're also excited that you're with us today. Thanks for joining. I'm super excited to be joining this awesome crew, this motley crew of characters, and continuing their journey across the planes. Maybe we'll let them come home to the material plane for a brief little while. Since this is my first time with them, I'm going to let the rest of the cast sort of take over introducing and letting you know what happened last time. I also know it's been a couple of weeks since we were live. So why don't we do this? Why don't we go around and you all can introduce yourselves and your characters as much for the audience as me, and tell us something about what happened last time, and each of you will get to do a little piece of it. Why don't we start with Carl playing Lefcadio?
Right, I'm Lefcadio Whitehorn, the Tabaxi Celestial Patron Warlock. My patron is the Banyan, Lord Firemane, the Lion King. And most recently, we've recovered this spell book that looks like a piece of bark from a tree. Seems to be like it would be most useful for a nature-y type or a druid. I happen to know that it's a lost artifact from the Emerald Enclave. I'm currently possessing this item in my hands, and we wish to bring it back, or Lefcadio wishes to bring it back to the material plane to return it to the Emerald Enclave to get all the love and adulation that might go with such an act. I don't think the party is totally on board with that just yet, but Lefcadio is very persuasive, so we'll see how that goes.
Fantastic. I love it. Let's hop over to Graham.
I'm Graham. I play Taslin, the necromantic wizard. Last time you saw us, I had recently reconnected with my ex-lover, Raziel, and went to a party. I didn't precisely care about this item, as it doesn't necessarily have any use to me. However, if we are to return it, I'd like a nice cut of the profit. On to you.
Let's see. Let's hop over to Casey.
Hi, I'm Casey, and I am playing Champion of Timora, Impaler of the Plains, Heckler of Big Fire Chickens, and She Who Would Fight the Storm, Nos of Neverwinter. I'm playing a barbarian, but someone who can actually, think around their rage, so that's why I'm along for the ride, I suppose. I should be dead, but I'm not, and I think it's because these yokels kind of need me, so I'm kind of just here right now.
The story of so many adventures. All right. Vinny, let's hop to you.
Hi, I'm Vinny. I play Kale Irvine, a half-elven knowledge cleric of Denier from the Kingdom of Eltergard, which is full of just the best people. They're the most coolest. So he's been on this journey for a while. His mom's been missing forever. He's never actually met her. He's got this... More importantly, he's got a scythe that was going to be used by a 1,000-year-old shape-changing wizard guy to destroy the universe or something. But we stopped him. It was cool. And now I've just been carrying this dumb thing around for a while, and it's making me pretty uncomfortable. So I'd like to ditch it somewhere safe, though, because I'm a good guy.
Good to know. Last but most certainly not least, John.
Hey, everybody. I am Wampum Thunderbelly, your 13th level Mountain Dwarf Battlemaster. Let's see where we left off. I am having an awful hard time trying to weigh out Nos is coming back. She's got wings now. She's still looks the same, but yet looks different. And I'm having a hard time processing this. So we will see how I go about doing this.
All right. Well, that is our crew. They've got a lot of things that they want to get rid of. We met up just to talk through a couple of things last week before I started here today. And my first question was, I don't think I've ever met a party of adventurers who wanted to get rid of their magical artifacts. So that's a That's a new theme for me. Just a couple of quick housekeeping things before we get started. Part of the adventure for today, and possibly the next one that I run as well, is going to come from an adventure in the Uncaged Anthology. If you are unaware, Uncaged Anthology is a super awesome collection of adventures that's available on the DM's Guild, both as a PDF and a beautiful hardcover book. Lots of different artists and writers and designers participated in creating the different adventures in it. There are adventures for every tier of play, 1st through 20th level, and the sort of through line for all of them is that they take female myths and legends and creatures and tropes and turn them all on their head to make some really fascinating new and exciting stories. We're going to be using one of them today by a lovely woman who I believe has just spoken up in the chat. Hi, Judy. We are going to be, I don't want to say too much about the adventure because we'll see some of it, but the designer of the adventure is here with us today, and I'm super excited to be using her work as part of our first little mini adventure. Along with that, we wanted to make sure that even more people got to see even more of the work in the Uncaged Anthology, so we're giving it away. If you want a PDF copy of Uncaged Anthology, we are going to be giving one away at the end of today's stream, ? Yes. Okay, at the end of today's stream, we're going to give one away. To enter in the raffle, you can type ! Ticket into the chat. You get one ticket for free. Vinny's going to do it. You get one ticket for free, and if you would like to purchase additional tickets, they are 20 dragons a piece, dragons being the currency that we use here on Crituitous RP. So if you have questions, let us know in chat, but otherwise, if you want to enter ! Ticket, and we will give that away at the end of today's stream. Cool. Did I miss any other housekeeping things? I don't think so, right? Anybody?
Nope.
Nope, great. All right, well then I guess we should start playing Dungeons & Dragons. So, let's do that. So, as I understand it, you all have amassed a young dragon's hoard worth of items, some of which you really want to keep and some of which you really do not. And you were in the Feywild after quite a bit of plane hopping, looking to make your way back to the material plane. Now, what was the plan to get back?
We just knew where a portal was.
I believe we knew where... Vinny can sense where Feywild portals are, and I have the amulet. So, I think that was up for discussion.
Okay, so we were looking to go towards this portal that you all know of?
Mm-hmm.
And do we know where this portal leads?
It should be the same one that we took to get here, which was in the Highmoor.
In the Highmoor, fantastic. So... we will say that you all made your way to this portal in the Highmoor, or rather this portal that hopefully will lead you to the Highmoor. And as you pass through, you all are aware that sometimes time can be a tricky thing when passing between the Feywild and the Shadowfell and the Prime Material Plane, so who knows what you'll find on the other side of the portal, but pass through it you do. And you end up in the Highmoor, which is just a little ways south and east of the city of Waterdeep, where several of you have contacts, and a little further south and east of the city of Neverwinter, where you have even more contacts. So you arrive in the Highmoor, and does anyone remember what season it was the last time you were in the material plane?
Oh gosh.
This is the test. I will be grading you all.
Fall. Final
Great,
answer.
I love that answer. Yes, that's what we're going to go with. So it is a beautiful spring day in the Highmoor, so at least some time has passed. Hopefully it was only 6 months and not several years and 6 months, but that's to be determined, I suppose. So you come out in the Highmoor. The colors seem duller, the air somewhat less sweet, and yet it's good to be home, I think, for many of you, though I do realize that the material plane is not original home for some of you. But back you are.
Wampum still kneels down and kisses the ground.
Yeah. The gooey, swampy ground of the Highmoor.
Oh, I love you so.
He stands back up, he's got a little mud on his mouth.
I'll prestidigitation that away. Just,
Well, that's rude.
just
Maybe he wanted it there.
This is new, is... That's funny, Casey. I hadn't seen that yet. On the bottom of your mug.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, okay. All right, so now that you're back, What is the plan? Like I said, we know that you have contacts in Waterdeep and Neverwinter. Both cities have the possibility of having contacts that you might be able to offload your magic items with. So what's it's a new dawn, it's a new day. What's the plan?
Well, last time we were here, we had fought a blighted ranger atop a steed who we defeated and knocked unconscious under the belief that by putting them in a tree, they would be saved from the blight after we killed the tree.
Uh-huh.
But
we tied them up, and then we stuck a note on them and said,
stay where you are.
Good. Excellent.
Some time has passed.
Yeah,
Some time has
they may have
passed. Yeah.
died.
You probably want to hope that they're not still up in that tree.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to that shadow dragon that we were going to go beat on some?
Last time we saw him, we had sent him running when he came into the temple, and he swore everlasting vengeance on us.
Right. We set the heroes of Waterdeep upon him, so hopefully that issue has resolved itself with minimal loss of life. But that was their decision, really. I didn't make anybody do anything. Let's worry about that later. We don't need. That's a problem for later.
How about that glaive that you're carrying on your back? Weren't we supposed to take that somewhere?
Oh, you mean the scythe?
Yeah, that thing.
I mean, you can always give it back to me.
Sharp thing.
False. I can't give it back to you because we tried to let you have it at first, and then it took over your mind, and you tried to destroy the world. So we're not going to give you the scythe back. Is that all right? It's a rhetorical question. It's all right. So, first and foremost, Lafcadio, your item there that you have to hold in your hands at all times to move is probably the most pressing to get rid of because it seems like it's a huge burden.
Not being able to put it down. Yeah, it sure does.
So, what would you like to do with it? It's kind of that's your thing. Since you've just revealed to us after all this time together that you've been working with the Emerald Enclave the whole time. Don't know why you couldn't tell us that sooner, but whatever. That's your life.
Well, it's. I mean, I sense a bit of passive aggression there. Okay, it's.
Yeah.
I mean, it's part of the job. I'm not supposed to really broadcast my that particular affiliation. However, I would like to give this book to those to my mates back in the Emerald Enclave. I have a contact in Waterdeep that I can rely on for that. So that's an option.
Nos, perhaps it's just me, not having been from the material plane, but who are the Emerald Enclave?
They're an organization, and I know that they are hippies. That's about it.
Okay. Are they willing to pay us for this?
Being hippies, probably not. I don't know. That's something to ask Lafcadio.
Lafcadio,
Yeah,
would
mate.
they be willing to pay us for the return of this most sacred treasure of theirs?
Well, it's possible. They might reward us for it. However, I'm not gonna press them on it. I mean, it belongs to them after all. It's an item that they had at one time and was lost to time and the ages. I was looking to do it just as out of the goodness of my heart. I understand that that's not necessarily material that can be shared amongst the party. So again, I don't want to press them on it, but I mean it is quite an important item to them, so they might.
Do you know what would happen if someone started using it for evil? Like, would there be a sign that we would know of, that we could be aware of, to look out for?
Nope. I mean, it's like a magic item. It's quite a powerful magic item, but like your glaive, it's pretty powerful. But we wouldn't really know if it fell into an evildoer's hands or anything like that.
Although I imagine an item as legendary and supposedly powerful as this one, if it were to fall into the wrong hands, we'd probably notice because there'd be some sort of cataclysmic event.
Yeah, like I'm thinking like a blight or something would happen.
Something, I imagine. But you never know. Just because somebody's evil and wants to use a powerful item for evil intent doesn't mean that they're stupid about it, and maybe they'll do it quietly until it's too late for anybody to do anything about it.
It's nice to be aware of what the signs could be, though, if we're just going to hand it over to somebody.
Of course.
Indeed.
Well, if you guys are worried about it, maybe when we get back to Waterdeep, instead of just giving it right away, supposing we are going to Waterdeep, but I could reach out to my contact and just ask very vaguely and general questions about the item, and then perhaps they could alleviate any concerns that you might have. And if those are so alleviated, then I can say, well, since you mention it, I just happen to have it. And surprise! Something like that.
I'm open to this.
Wampum, what are your thoughts?
Well, I understand all these magical items that we don't want, that are evil and all that kind of stuff. They need to go back to where they belong. But I tell you, I got a very important mission that needs to be done before that.
Does it involve drinking?
You can see, I'm going through withdrawal.
Yeah.
Ah,
Okay? I need me Thunderbelly Ale before I start to get violent, because you know what happens after this.
of course. It's the shakes and then the insults and then the fists of flying.
See, you know me. You
Indeed.
understand me. So,
Well,
yeah.
it's not difficult to understand a dwarf.
So let's get
Some
out of
shade
this.
from the guy from the Shadowfell. Eh?
Yeah, right.
So, I need
All right,
me
so it-
Thunderbelly Ale. If it's in Waterdeep or Neverwinter or wherever the closest place is, that's where we be going.
And that is the closest big city. I mean, you could, I guess, in theory, you could go south to Baldur's Gate if you really wanted to, but Waterdeep is probably the safer and better known city, and it's about 6 of one, half dozen the other in terms of travel time. So
Let's go to
So-
Waterdeep.
Thank you for choosing that. So, so off you all head. Heading to the northeast, it takes you a bit of time to get out of the high moor, out of sort of the swampy wetlands of this area, and off you head, and you get sort of towards you're heading northwest rather. You know that. Sort of the direction that you're headed, you should probably come out of the moors pretty close to the misty forest, which will lead you then on to closer to some more traveled roads, closer to the tradeway that you can then just take north through Daggerford and up to Waterdeep. In a few days after of traveling, you do indeed reach the misty forest, and you know there are plenty of mapped cities all over the Sword Coast in Faerun, but there are some smaller towns that don't make it onto big maps that travelers use to rest and maybe grab. I don't know about Thunderbelly Ale, but they definitely can grab some ale at their inns and rest their feet for a night. And it is upon one of those little towns that you stumble. You find it's pretty typical in every way in terms of its size. You know, there's clearly a sort of central building that is some sort of inn or tavern. There are homes all around. You see some smoke coming out of a building that's probably a blacksmith shop. But what catches your eye about this one, as opposed to the many small towns that you've inevitably encountered in your years of adventuring, is that it's a little past midday, but no one is out and about on the streets, and the windows this town all seem to be boarded up. And as you sort of take a gander and approach, you see a woman come out of one of the houses and make her way very, very quickly over to the blacksmith shop and slip inside. And you notice as she's walking over there, you notice that she has around her neck what looks like a very uncomfortable, very heavy, you could see it was sort of pulling her down, this thick, what looked like maybe iron or steel, some sort of metal collar, covering basically her whole neck from the base of her skull down to her collarbone. And so something just sort of generally feels off about this place as you approach. But it is the most direct way. You could certainly go around, and it wouldn't take too terribly long, but it is the most direct way that you know of to get to the tradeway.
After seeing the woman, I'm going to be like, I really hope that is a fashion statement.
About how many houses are there in this village?
It's not a city size, but it's not a tiny hamlet either. I would say, at a quick glance, guessing what is a residence versus a shop or a workshop of some sort, probably, I don't know, maybe 15 to 25 houses of various sizes. There are a few sort of larger, nicer looking houses around. They're not all, small little one-room shacks or anything like that. There are a few nicer buildings, and there's one sort of on the far end of town that could probably rightly be called a manor house or a mansion of some sort.
Since I see your reaction, Nos, so you kind of saw that too?
Yeah, first impression is she's owned.
I not be liking it.
Right.
So Wampum will slowly start to make his way to the blacksmith.
Yeah. Tazzle will follow.
All right. So you all sort of get into the town proper, head towards that blacksmith where you saw the woman coming, and from the central building, the big central building that probably looks like some sort of inn or tavern, as you get a little bit closer, you can see hanging by the main entrance. You can see a sign, a carved wooden sign that seems to depict several trees, and another person comes out of that tavern, that inn, spots you all and hurries over. She also is wearing one of these collars around her neck, and she rapidly approaches you looking startled, and she's waving you frantically, and she comes to you and she sort of says, are you daft? Come inside, and ushers you all, waves you all back towards the inn, not even looking back to see if you're following until she gets to the door of the inn.
Well, I'll call after, like, what do I do with my horse?
Camildon Diaz is also with us.
Bring the camel and horse inside the tavern!
Wait. Why didn't we talk about the camel earlier?
My bad.
Tell me more about this camel.
Taslin, once they got a bunch of gold, splurged on a camel for an exotic mount. He was looking for something cool, like a velociraptor. They had a camel named Camildon Diaz, and he bought it because he didn't want to walk, and that's that. Camildon Diaz has been killed once.
Oh.
And resurrected in the Feywild. And...
all right. Well, the woman having seen them the whole time because they're there and obvious, and she definitely didn't not know of their existence, gestures towards the sort of stables, the stable house attached to this inn, and says they'll have to take their chances there. Just be sure and shut the door solidly when you come back out.
Chances with what? What's going to happen? I need to know if I want to protect, my horse.
She says, I'll explain inside. We shouldn't be out here. You shouldn't be out here. And she this whole time, she keeps sort of unconsciously raising her hand to the collar around her neck.
What time of day is it?
It's a little past midday, so you got a few hours. So
it's not like a vampire thing?
Doesn't seem to be.
Okay. All right. Would you like me to take Adra over there, Kale? I'll stable them up, or perhaps I can summon a mansion in Oh, wait, they can't get through the door. Never mind.
No,
Well-
it's fine. I'll go with you and tie her up.
All right.
This
We'll
poor woman
meet
is
you in-
about to have
yeah.
an aneurysm at how calmly you all are having this conversation.
A reminder to breathe. I'm going to teach you this exercise. You inhale slowly for 10 seconds, and you hold it for 10 seconds, then release for 6.
So Iskar, my familiar, who's currently a cat, Tazlin will kind of pick up Iskar and like drape him on Nos.
Totally normal.
Totally normal.
Totally.
And he'll just be like, "Well, if we get separated, at least this way, I'll know what you guys are up to in the tavern."
Fair enough.
Okay.
And
All right.
off he goes.
So, in that case, we said that Tazlin was going to go stable the animals, and Kale, were you going with him?
Correct.
Okay, and then the rest of you are going inside. Great. So, once you step inside this inn, the smell of rich ale and cinnamon and the warmth of a fire sort of greet you immediately. It's old. The place is clearly old, but well kept. Furniture that's clearly seen its fair share of guests and bar fights. You can see like seams on some of the tables and chairs where they've been mended over the years. Inside, you notice a few people sort of in the main taproom area. The barkeep, an older elf male, 2 human patrons sitting at one of the tables, and a single elf sitting by the fire and staring into it sort of pensively. All of the people inside here wear those same strange collars around their throats. And as soon as you all enter, the barkeep notices you and sees that you all are not wearing collars and calls out to you and says, "Wow, you daft! Get over here! Go over and get your guard on before you lose your head."
Explain.
Wampum just starts moving tables and chairs and all that, and he reaches the bar and he says, "Drink."
The bartender sort of lets himself smile a little bit and turns to pour you an ale, and he turns back around and he hands you the ale, but he also, in your other hand, since you've got both hands out, ale mug in one hand, collar in the other hand. Big. It's, I mean, not heavy for you, but like clearly a heavy piece of metal, and he hands you both at the same time.
Wampum takes that collar, and just throws it over his shoulder, and says, and then holds out his other hand, "Drink."
Okay. He looks a little, but the bartender looks a little startled, but he sort of looks around and, he sort of takes a deep breath and remembers that you all are inside, and so he'll pour you a second mug of ale. And as he hands you the second one, he will sort of whisper to you, "We just cleaned up the last fight. Keep it civil if you don't mind."
It'd be civil now with two mugs.
I hope that remains true. Yeah, go ahead.
Explain, caller? No one's going to be putting this on until it's explained.
So by this point, the woman that brought you in here has gone back around the bar and grabbed several more collars and sort of brought them out. And you say that, Nas, as she's bringing them around, and she sort of nods and sets them on the bar and gestures for you all to grab stools and sort of gather around. And at this point, I think Tazlin and Kale, you all can make your way back inside, unless you were up to some shenanigans in the stable that I should know about.
I would have cast Mage Armor on myself, not feeling entirely comfortable with the scenario on our way back, taking 6 seconds to just boom. And that's all I would have done.
Totally.
I would cast Tongues, actually, on Edra, my horse. And I would tell her, look, and I've done this before, so it's like it's happened to her before. She's like freaked out.
Sure.
But I told her, look, I don't know what's going on. Everybody says it's very dangerous out here. If anything happens, I'm going to leave you here, and I'm not going to hobble you guys or tie you up. If anything bad happens, just get Camel and Diaz and just bust into the tavern.
Oh. Yeah. This is par for the course for her, if not for me, so she agrees.
Awesome.
I love it. All right. So inside you head right as this woman is sort of gathering your friends around one corner of the bar, and you see a pile of those strange sort of unclasped metal collars sitting on the bar, and so once you all are sort of gathered around, this woman introduces herself. She tells you that she's Iris. She works for the town guard. She introduces Tibbs, the bartender, who just sort of nods at you all and goes about his business cleaning glasses, because that's what barkeeps do. So she begins to explain, and she sort of starts off with she doesn't really bury the lead. She informs you that for the last month or month and a half, a horsewoman has been roaming the streets and beheading town leaders and, frankly, anyone else who stands in her way. And that is why the folks in this town have taken to wearing these collars. And at that point, she sort of stops and reaches for the collars again and begins to try and hand them out to you all.
I will put mine back down on the table and tell her they're welcome to try.
How many weeks has this been going on, and where are you? How many victims has it taken so far?
She sort of thinks back and she says, well, it started not too long after our last mayoral election, so it would have been perhaps 3 or 4 days ago now.
And is there a cemetery nearby? Just in case we needed to question the dead of what they saw.
Ooh.
Not intrusive, just...
Yeah, no, that's not at all intrusive. That's literally what she's like, She tells you that there is, but you please don't disinter our honored dead.
Of course,
I would never do that.
Not going to do that.
I should probably roll.
Maybe deception, please.
Yeah, because I can definitely raise some headless zombies. Let me roll that.
An insight for her real quick.
All right, that's a 17.
Okay. Oh, where are my 20s? Are there? All right. So she's, I mean, in that way of like, you don't bring that up and then just forget about it. She's like, okay, but you seem honest enough, and I guess.
He's like draped all black with like skull like earrings all over.
Yeah.
I will interject and say, no, we're not going to dig up any bodies. Obviously, we respect dead, and Haslin, if you need dead bodies for something, you can go make some out of, evil things somewhere.
I
dig up
no
people
intention to do that. I simply knew that you had that spell.
Great.
And I figure who better to know what's going on than someone that was killed by it.
Well, let's exhaust all our other options first, which there are many of. For instance, questioning the living.
Yeah. She likes this idea a lot.
So, you said it's been 3 to 4 10 days. You say a horsewoman. Describe what the horsewoman looks like. Is it a woman with it's like a woman's face on a horse? Is it like woman bottom half, horse top half? What's going on?
She sort of I'm laughing. She's not laughing. She looks at you strangely, and she says, "No, the woman rides the horse."
Oh, I thought you just said horsewoman. I must have heard incorrectly. My apologies.
No, I did, but one generally. You've seen some things, haven't you?
Yeah, we just got back from the Feywild, actually. So
her eyes get real big at that,
and we encountered centaurs while we were there. So I thought maybe more centaurs.
I haven't seen the woman myself, but from what I've heard, she is in fact a woman riding a horse. I think they're separate beings, as far as I can tell. And the barkeep Tibbs sort of speaks up and he goes, I saw it. I saw her. She was in fact 2 separate beings. Strange thing she was. Saw her riding back to the woods, back round the back of the town behind Councilwoman Ennelin's house. Strange thing it was.
Well, hold on. First, we should ask, do y'all want help? Because sometimes...
Yeah. The two of them, Tibbs and Iris, sort of look at each other, and they say, Tibbs sort of says, well, business has been rather slow with people not wanting to go outside, so I wouldn't mind a spot of help, but you should probably, if anyone can really speak for whether or not the town wants help, it's probably our new Mayor Bricks. You should go and talk to her if you want an official sanction, as it were. You know.
Kale, as you were.
Tibbs, me beginning to know the bottom.
Tibbs looks impressed because it has not been that long. So he'll take. Are they both empty or just one of them? Oh boy. So
you've seen those people, right? Who just kind of tip their head back and open their throat and it all goes down at once.
It's like a snake, like unhinging their jaw.
So he'll take both of those tankards back and fill them back up, and he looks all of you up and down, and he says, "You all look like, between the stories and your clothing, I think you're probably good for the bar tab, right?"
Wampum,
which of course, go ahead.
Wampum will throw him a gold. Just hush up and fill it up.
That's more than enough. And for what it's worth, and he hands you the full tankards. For what it's worth. Feel like I could probably give you some credit if you do manage to rid the town of this horrible horsewoman.
Fantastic.
Credit
Sure.
me.
Did I mention she didn't have an head?
You
That's
did not
fine.
mention that.
You did
That's
not.
fine, that's fine.
Minor detail, I suppose. Yeah, it was the strangest thing. Didn't seem to hinder her none, but she didn't have no head.
And what type of weapon did she wield?
Oh, a wicked sword she had. I haven't had the misfortune of seeing her use it, but wicked looking it were, right on her hip.
Big one?
And big-ish. I mean, it was bigger than anything I'd like to hold. But
Was she armored?
she was, yeah, quite well armored. She had a whip as well, horrible looking thing, made out of bones. It were.
That kind of reminds me of my cousin had one of them swords. I think he called it what do you call it? I think he called it like a vorpal sword.
He says, "Well, I never heard nothing about that, but it were fancy. It was. So if your cousin's sword were fancy, might have been the same."
Could you maybe describe it more descriptively a little bit instead of just wicked? Maybe were there points in weird places? Or...
No, it was shaped like a normal sword. I only saw her from a distance, you see. It were hard to get to stick around once you see something like that. A headless woman riding a horse with a wicked sword and a whip made out of bones. I mean, don't know. Maybe you all...
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe you all would want to stick around and examine it, but I ran. I'm not too proud to admit it.
Sure.
It's alright, I've run from scarier things.
Scarier than the headless woman with a wicked sword and a whip made out of bones. Woo.
Well,
I'm gonna stick to my tavern keeping.
What you say that this woman shows up every night?
Well, I don't know. I can't rightly say. Once the town got wise to the attacks, for the most part, we've been wearing the collars, so the fatalities, as it were, have dropped off a bit. But yeah, she comes fairly regular like.
So
I saw her at night, but I can't rightly say if she only shows up at night.
So the collars have been effective. The women's tried to chop the heads off of people wearing collars and was unsuccessful.
So far, yeah, as far as I know, we did have one who she must have really whacked him good because we found him the next morning. His head was intact, but his neck were broken.
All right, great.
Not foolproof, as it were, which is why we wanted you. Would you mind putting them on? It's making me nervous just seeing the five of you there without them on.
No,
Well,
we're
you
not going
see,
to put them on.
All right.
my hands.
Your
my
head.
My hands are kind of busy.
And I'm
Fair enough.
actually an angel, so you don't have to worry about that.
Jazzy, with the way this has been going on, would a history check, if I could, I mean, I'm like 700 plus years old. Have I ever heard of anything like this?
I would love a history check, actually.
Okay.
Sure.
let me roll it and roll 20 because I set up my sheet. We'll test it.
Hey, look at that. Yeah, Iris has sort of been happy to while you're rolling this up, has been happy to let Tibbs take the. You've never heard of anything like that. That's a 7.
Crazy stuff happens here.
That's a big old 7. Iris has sort of been happy to let Tibbs take up the story since he's actually seen her, and Iris has never seen her. But at this point, she was ready to hand you all the collars again, and she sort of puts them down and just shakes her head and says, "Look, I don't know who you are. Clearly, you have seen some things. If you don't want to wear the collars, that's on your heads." That was in poor taste. Sorry. But I should really go. I have a shift starting before long.
I got it. You need to head out.
Iris, thank you for your consideration, hospitality, and compassion. We really appreciate that.
You are welcome, and I'll be thinking about you all with your collarless necks outside on your own.
I invite her to try.
I hope that you have half the power that you think that you all have. Best of luck, truly, to all of you.
I'll flex with my +5 strength modifier. Like, no worries.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And Iris,
really
where do you work?
She says, "Well, I'm with the town guard, so I'll be heading over to the barracks house to get my assignment for the rest of the evening."
I'm gonna pick up Iskar, and if she's accepting, I'll just say, "I'm able to see through this cat."
She was reaching out to pet it, like, "Oh," and then you say that.
He
She
looks
goes,
like a
"Oh."
nice cat.
Yes, but you can
probably
see
great,
through it,
yeah.
so she stops that real quick.
Well, just in case anything shows up and we hear noise across the town while you're on your patrol, this will allow us to find out where you are and render assistance if need be.
Oh, well, I suppose if the cat doesn't mind,
Oh, he's a lazy cat. He just drape him over the shoulders like a scarf, and he'll be there.
Oh, all right. This is fairly par for the course for everything else that's happened so far today. So sure, why not?
Just not to get your hopes up too high, though, but Taslin, that only works out to a certain range, correct?
Yeah, like a mile though. So
A mile? Is it a mile? Are you sure it's a mile?
I thought it was
It's not
100
like 100
feet, but
might be
yeah,
100 feet.
I think it's 100 feet.
Maybe there's something else that I'm thinking.
Although I think you might be able to communicate with it over a mile.
Yeah.
You just can't actually see and hear through its eyes and ears.
Do when you film.
I don't know why I
Communicate
have all of
telepathically 100 feet.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of the Warlock
Yes,
Pact of
the Warlock
yeah.
Pact of the Chain. Yeah.
Yep. Womp womp. Oh well, I'll still lie and roll with it.
Well, now I need another deception check.
All right. Prepare for like a 5.
Man, this poor lady. She's gonna be screaming for help at the cat, and the cat's gonna be like,
Oh wow, look
what's
at
to tell
that with a 0 mod.
Oh, I hadn't scrolled down, and I still had the 7 from your history, and I was like, yeah, wow, doing
Great.
well
Holy
today.
shit, yeah.
Oy, oy, oy. All right, let's see here. We're just gonna call this insight for her. I'm gonna get better. Also, lovely viewers and players, I haven't really touched Roll20 in a solid 3 years, so I'm very excited to get back into it. But you'll have to forgive me being a little slow from time to time with it. Wait, okay. Great. Here. Oh, yep. She absolutely believes you. Great. So she leaves with the cat. I don't even know.
It's okay. I can summon like 2 more. So
Oh,
I'm not too
great.
worried about
That's
it.
not going to totally freak her out or anything. All right. So Tibbs is cleaning glasses again because that's what he does. He's done trying to get you all to wear the collars.
Can I have a look at one of those collars?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course. It's yours for the wearing. Yeah, I mean it's. What's that?
What's it made of?
It's made of metal. You can make me an intelligence investigation check.
That's going to turn out well. Investigation starts with I.
It does.
We're off to a good start. This intelligence-based skill check.
I feel confident.
I clicked it, and it's not going anywhere. Click it again.
Excellent.
All right. Oh, there we go. Okay, not 20.
Oh. Hey, look at that. Yeah, so it is made of steel. They're pretty... it looks like it was made in a hurry. The blacksmith did a good job, but like clearly it was a rush job. Like there's no finesse to it. There's no frills whatsoever. It is just a heavy, thick iron steel collar that clasps in the front, so you have easy access to it to take it on and off. But it's pretty basic and heavy, right? Like again, you all are adventurers and strong to some degree, but like you notice that it is hefty, and like any normal person who wore it for any length of time would almost certainly get real tired.
So how is it that you have so many of these? Did you buy them all, or did the blacksmith just give them to you out of the kindness of his heart, or what?
He says no. When the attack started and we started to see the pattern of them, we all banded together. We're a fairly close-knit community here, and we all donated bits of scrap that we had to our local blacksmith, and she got things started. Got a bit of a production line, if you will, getting them out to the townspeople as quick as could be, and then we had to make a few extras for visitors such as yourselves. Looks like we'll be keeping these 5, so that's nice. You won't have to make...
Well, don't be hasty. I'll take this one.
All right. He says, well, one of you has got a liquor sense, I suppose.
So, you say you're a pretty tight-knit community. I imagine a lot of people come through here. You're a barkeep. You're the general person that people go to when they're on adventures to look for knowledge about things going on in the town that they work in. So,
his head's spinning a little bit after that, but yeah, go on.
What's the... have you heard any rumors about what may have caused this to start happening?
He says, well, I can't rightly say. He says, I don't want to speak ill of anyone, but all I know is that I've seen the creature when I saw it riding around. I saw her come and go from the woods back behind Ennelin's house. But I can't imagine that Ennelin would sick something like that on us. She's been around for, well, a little while, I suppose. She is newer to the town, I suppose.
What does newer mean to you?
He says, "Is that a jibe about how old I am?"
No, it's just I'm a half elf. He's a dwarf. We live longer amounts of time, so a little while to us might be a long time for you.
Fair enough. Let's see. Well, she's been here several years at this point.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, she. I remember when she came to town. She, smart lady, she is. Started giving us some ideas about how we could improve things around here. Got elected to the council right quick. Seemed like the helpful sort. Rumours, of course, when she came to town, but that's to be expected when someone new comes and joins a community.
What sort of rumours, though?
Oh, all sorts of crazy things. That she communes with the dark spirits. That she's actually some horrible monster from the icy north.
You say that, and if Kale hazards to glance over at Nos at the moment, she's just eyeing him like, sure, right.
Uh-oh.
Terrible monster,
He says, but she's been nothing but kind and helpful, if a bit strange for us.
For you?
For the town,
Mm. Okay. And you say she was elected to the council, so that the manner of government you guys have in this tiny little town here is democratic, or?
Yeah, we've got a mayor that we elect, and then an advisory council for the mayor.
Interesting. How's that been going?
Well, just fine. We recently had a bit of a power change. You know, our longtime mayor, Andes, was voted out at the last election. I wouldn't say ousted. It was just an election, and newcomer, our new mayor Brix, was elected. She seems to be, you know, got a good head on her. Oh, nope, can't say. It's really quite difficult, you know. It feels inappropriate these days, but it just sort of comes out. Anyway, yeah, so when Brix was elected, actually quite a few of the council members were voted out with new members again. You know how things are. It's for me, good times, bad times. People are going to want to drink, but we had a year of particularly bad crops. And, you know, farmers in particular got to whinging and whining and blaming the leadership for the weather and for not managing things well. And so it ended up that a lot of the previous council was voted out this past election. What was it, these past 2 months or so?
Of course. No, that makes sense, and that's why I mean, I've read a lot of scholarly articles on why democratic government is kind of silly and ridiculous.
She says, well, I think it works quite well for us, but all right.
Sure, but if you have perfectly good leadership that gets blamed for the weather and then voted out because of that, then that seems kind of
yeah, but you know, new blood, who's to say?
Sure.
I'm not going to lie to you. I feel a little bit underqualified to have an in-depth discussion about the merits of various forms of government.
Course. Yes, this is definitely not the forum to have a debate.
Well,
but
if you're feeling so uncomfortable, you mentioned about people wanting drinks.
I can't. I love it so much.
I have been patiently waiting here, watching you flap your gums about stuff you don't know what to talk about, and my mug's empty.
It's been like.
You might as well leave the keg on the bar counter for him.
Well, it's a bit heavy, but I'll yeah, all right. And he goes and he takes the 2 mugs and he refills them, and then he sort of thinks for a minute, and he turns around and he gets 2 more and just sets them next to you.
You're learning. You're learning.
No.
Oh boy.
Now, Tibbs, was it?
Yes.
These victims, did they all happen to perish in the same location, or was it various locations around the town?
He says, no, it's she strikes wherever she finds them. For the most part, like I said, the victims or like Iris said, I think, the victims have been members of the council, some of the newer members that were elected in, but not exclusively, you know. It's been known that fella that I mentioned that had his neck broke, he was just a farmer from up the way, wasn't connected in no way to the council or the mayor herself.
Was he wearing one of the collars?
Yeah, he was. Let's remember he's got his neck broke. Just get a good swing on it.
Yeah, I mean, they look awfully heavy. His neck probably just gave out.
Could have been.
I'm gonna put the collar on.
Yeah, he's so happy about that. He's like, oh, thank God, somebody's putting one on. I
have the mask of many faces invocation, so then I change my disguise to conceal it, so it looks like I'm not wearing it. So I'm still wearing it.
He is super confused. We're a simple town. All right, it's magic. I get it. All right.
In the background, ta-da!
Prestidigitation, like fireworks. No.
Kale will say thank you for your time, Tibbs. I appreciate all your help. I'm just gonna go take a seat over here real quick while I contemplate all the things that you have been telling us. If anybody else in my group here would like to talk to you some more while I'm doing something, feel free to do so. Not that you need my permission.
Yeah, I'm gonna need whole bottles here. We're gonna need for the road 2 bottles of whiskey, 2 bottles of rum, and 2 bottles of tequila. Just kind of like the standard.
Can I put an order for a bottle of wine?
He's so torn because he like really wants you all to like save the town and get better, but he's also like, oh, this is This is just gold dragon signs in his eyes. So he'll go and collect all of that.
While Kale is doing this, I would like to take a walk around the town. Would anyone like to come with me? I would very much like to know the layout.
Yeah, you're not going alone.
I'll be walking with you.
Why don't we just wait for Kale? Why would we just...
Because he's doing that elf magic stuff.
Yeah, that elf magic stuff. So crazy. And with that, I'm going to use my Ring of Invisibility and just turn immediately invisible.
Oh my god. Fortunately, Tibbs was not paying attention. He went to go get those bottles.
So you guys want to split up? Is that what you want to do?
Yes, I'm already walking towards the door in case you can't tell.
Wampum just sat back down. He goes, I'm not following no hidden or individual elf. Ain't no way.
Yeah, same. That invisibility was a deal breaker. All right, Teslin, you go have fun. Be safe.
All right, I'll be safe. I'll yell really loud, "Help! Help me! I'm being accosted if I get attacked."
Are you sure you don't want one of these collars, just in case?
No, I'll be fine.
Okay. All right. You sure?
Of course,
super sure?
course.
You super sure?
Of course.
All right. I don't believe you, but okay. All right.
Okay, so Taslin, you're leaving.
Yeah, and he's gonna stay within like 500 feet of the tavern.
Okay, all right.
So he can dimension door immediately back there if he sees any trouble.
Got it. Anybody else following Taslin? No, everyone's like, no, why would we? Great.
He turned invisible. It's gonna be insane to try to keep up with him.
Whoa, Taslin's not even being stealthy. I'm sure he's leaving footprints like in the mud.
Whoa. In the mud inside the tavern?
I'm sure they have like muddy streets.
Yeah, right. All right, Taslin. So we'll stick with you for just a minute. What are you looking for? What's the plan? What's the point? What's the
So they said that she comes on a steed, so he's gonna immediately disregard any like alleyways or like small areas between houses that wouldn't fit a horse. And he's looking for the major entrances of the town square, and just kind of looking for any signs of where he may be able to glean any information on the attacks whatsoever.
Okay. Sure. Why don't you make me intelligence investigation, please, as you're out looking around in sort of the more open areas.
Definitely.
Oh. Pay attention. Right, here we go.
It's 20.
Okay, great. So there's, it sounds like it's been at least a few days from what Tibbs was saying since someone was fatally wounded at least. So, there's no bloody trails leading somewhere or anything like that. But you do notice, as you look around, you notice a couple of things. It doesn't seem like, at least here in the town center, the tavern had stables, but it doesn't look like a ton of people have horses here. There aren't really any stables attached to the individual residences, and you don't notice a ton of, like, most of the tracks and such on the ground are humanoid. You do notice, though, a sort of churned up area of the ground. I know this is a little bit wisdom survival, but yeah, we'll go with it.
I'm pretty good at that.
That's all right. You notice like a churned up area that might possibly have been like a speeding horse heading sort of in the direction that Tibbs vaguely gestured, towards the edge of town, towards some woods over on the edge of town. So that seems to sort of square with what he said. Other things that you sort of notice, you look around at the buildings, sort of take a closer look at what you see here. You definitely notice, like I said, sort of off in the distance is that manor house, sort of on the opposite side of town from the woods. You also notice what looks to be sort of like the town hall, some sort of center of government, and attached to it, or not attached, but very close by it, is another sort of nice looking, not quite as large as the manor, but a nice looking residence that probably you sort of gather is probably the mayor's house, if, so that she's close by to the town hall. You spot the blacksmith again. You find a tanner's. You sort of follow your nose to that one, and nothing else terribly out of the ordinary.
Okay, perfect. And I will just kind of mill about for a few minutes. I'm not going to do anything overly exciting. Just Tazlin's going to see how the people are going about their day, and just kind of watch them from his invisible little perch.
So creepy. Cool. Back into the inn. So the four of you are there. Tibbs is now keeping a much closer eye on Wampum to make sure that he always has at least one full mug of ale. Now I don't want to presume anything, Wampum. So tell me a little bit about Wampum's history with the alcohol, and how soon should I be asking for Constitution saving throws?
Wampum's father developed the Thunderbelly Ale.
Right. Okay. Keep going.
So his family has gotten a pretty renowned for this. The Thunderbelly Ale has made it into the major cities, and it is a upper tier shelf type of liquor.
Okay.
So
I think Wampum probably he knows himself, and he's gonna drink until he is good and happy, and is gonna get drunk when he wants to. Yeah, or does he not have that control?
Yeah, he is only going to get blistered. If there is nothing important on the horizon that needs to be done.
Okay. So fairly safe to assume that you'll let me know if we need to watch out for drunk Wampum. Okay, I'm good with that. Great. All right. So what are the four of us doing here in the tavern?
So Kale went off to a table to cast a spell as a ritual, actually.
Yes.
So he got out his book of Denier. He's got a tome of Denier with the symbol of Denier on it, blah, blah, blah. It's magic, whatever, whatever stuff. He gets it out. He gets out some incense, and then he kind of sets it up on top of the book, and then he casts a little firebolt to light it, and he waits for it to burn out while he says the arcane things he needs to say to cast the spell. And he casts the divination spell.
Okay.
Are you familiar with how that works?
Yes.
Okay, so the question that he asks is, which of the residents of this town should we investigate further to acquire the most information about their problem?
I like that. All right. Now, this is the one that gives you the answer that's truthful but somewhat obscure?
It doesn't have to be, but yes, if you wanted to make it. It says the GM offers a truthful reply, and it could be a short phrase, cryptic grammar, omen.
Okay. All right. And the question was, who should we talk to give you the best information about how to solve the problem, right?
The beheading problem.
The beheading problem.
Yeah. There's other problems, I'm sure.
Yes. Well, here's how you solve the drought. No.
Make it rain.
Right. Go find a druid. All right, let's see. I can't. Well, you probably don't know this, but I can't resist a cryptic rhyme. So let's see. Why don't the rest of you, while I'm coming up with this cute little couplet, tell us what you're doing, Nos and Lefcadio?
I'll have taken one of the collars, and if everyone is okay with it, i.e. no one stops me, I'm going to put one of the collars in my pack. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, but if they're offering it, I feel like the flexibility of having it would be better than not.
Sure.
And then I'm going to park it right next to Kale and try to guess, without speaking, what he's doing. So I've seen this enough times now.
Really good.
Is this augury? Is this divination? I'll get it one day.
Make an intelligence arcana check. Let's see how well you do this time around.
That's a nat 20, sir.
Yeah, he's divining. I love it.
I'm like, I know what you're doing. I got it this time.
That's good. You've only seen it 100 times, so.
So Nos, from what I gather from either this Tibbs fella or the guard lady, she says that the victims are more often than not the newly elected council people.
Right.
It seems like a small subset of people to be random.
Uh-huh. Yeah, there is that one fellow, the farmer, who had his neck snapped. But if it's just one, then I don't feel like that's even a coincidence yet. So that's going to be... I'm guessing that's the murderer trying to throw us off a trail? Trying to imply that there's nothing going on, or maybe the farmer found out something he shouldn't have.
But then Tibbs says he saw the this headless horsewoman by Councilwoman Enelyn's house. Did we find out whether or not Enelyn was a victim?
I don't think we did find anything out about that yet. We're waiting until Kale is done, I believe, All right, we may go talk to her after this. We're trying to figure out what the next step is, and of course we need Kale for that.
And at that moment, Kit hears a whispering in his head. So Kale asks his question of Denier, and a voice comes to him that says, "The mayor has the basic truth, but she who's loved knows more, forsooth."
I will say audibly, thank you. Put my book away.
No problem, Kale. That's what I'm here for.
So could you say that one more time? I'm trying to write it down.
The mayor knows. The mayor has the basic truth, but she who's loved knows more, forsooth.
Forsooth. She who's loved. Weird. Okay. We should talk to the mayor first.
The Kale has spoken.
Yeah.
Tibbs, a good man. You said that you saw the horsewoman by Councilwoman Enelyn's house.
Nods.
Is Councilwoman Enelyn one of the befallen? Fallen?
He says, "Oh no, not as far as I know. I hope she's all right. No, last I saw her, she was all right though. Still had her head."
So when you saw the horsewoman by the house, was it standing there or?
No, I saw her running for the woods right behind the councilwoman's house. I want to be very clear. I don't necessarily think that the councilwoman's involved. It's just, she's got that house out by the woods, sort of the only structure out there, and that's where the horsewoman was heading for the woods near there. But I don't mean to suggest. I don't want anyone to think that I'm speaking ill of Councilwoman Enelyn.
Could we, just an aside, horsewoman, so misleading.
Really on this. I love it.
Can we switch it to maybe like cavalry woman or beheader or something else that isn't horsewoman, because it's going to throw me off.
I mean, it's a dark situation, I know, but we can have a bit of... we'll brainstorm on it while you all try and solve the problem. We'll come up with something, I promise.
Okay, well, you know what, Tibbs? You don't need to change the way you talk about it, because I probably won't be talking about it with you too much. Hopefully, if we solve it quickly, right? No offense or anything there, but
I'm taking
you guys, and I'll point to my party members, if we could not say horsewoman, because I'm going to keep thinking centaur, and if it's not a centaur, it's going to throw me off.
We call her the not centaur.
No, that's worse.
Horse
Somehow that's
lady?
worse.
Descriptive in its way.
That's the same. It just has an air of nobility about it, right? That's.
Hey, Tibbs, do you got any jerky back there while we're going to hunt for this horsewoman?
I'm gonna freak out.
I mean, walking through town gets my hunger up, especially if we're looking for a horsewoman. It's just really, really going to make me hungry.
I'm going to thaumaturgy all the lights out. Second time he says horsewoman, just all the lights go out.
Oh no! Tim sort of lets out a rather undignified yell. What's that?
When I see all the lights immediately go out when
Oh,
he's
good question. Make
thaumaturging.
me a wisdom perception check.
Okay.
Since you're playing D&D, apparently. So they tell me.
Alright, perception
Let's see.
check.
Yeah, meanwhile, Tibbs sort of lets out a 16.
16.
Yeah, I think you do.
Alright,
Tibbs sort of
let
lets out
me see if
undignified
Taslin's
yelp.
actually concerned for his party member.
Aha.
In a bizarre twist, he does actually care. And Taslin will start hoofing it back to the tavern,
God, okay.
thinking
Fantastic.
something's going down.
Okay. Sure, we'll get you in just a second, bursting through the door momentarily. Tibbs sort of lets out an undignified yelp, and you hear him sort of hit the deck.
I'll immediately-
No, Tibbs, I need me jerky.
and then I'll turn the lights back on, but instead of regular light, it'll be like this, like green, nasty-looking light.
You ain't got nothing to worry about, Tibbs. It's just that elf thing. You know, since we're looking for this horsewoman, don't worry. I just need me jerky.
He just, like, you see Wampum can see him clearly, but the rest of you just sort of see Tibbs' hand, like, stick up from behind the bar and, like, give you the thumbs up, and then he, like, staying on the ground, like, crawls back behind to, like, get some rations out. And at this point, Taslim just comes bursting in.
Yeah, and he's still invisible because I haven't taken a bonus action to get rid of it yet.
God, right. So the door just bursts
Oof.
open
Are these
no
like
one on
the
the
old
other side of
Western
it.
swinging doors, or is it like
No,
one of
it's
the
a door.
Oh man, okay.
So from behind
I'll be like,
the wall, poor Tibbs lets out another undignified yelp as the door slams open.
and I'll be like, I was not made out for this. Is everyone all right? Firstly, and no, I couldn't find anything on the Dark Rider.
No,
Thank you.
everything is fine. Kale is just telling us that we need to go look for the mayor and his horsewoman.
Oh, the mayor! I was
Dark
just
Rider.
outside her house. Nice house, really, but yeah, she's like down the road. Which is that the plan? Is that where we're going? I'm assuming Kale spoke to Denier.
So while you were out talking, you didn't see no horsewoman?
I did not see any horsewomen. At the stable looks very, very scarce. I don't think there are many horses in this village. I did notice a trampling in the ground where a kerfuffle may have occurred, or a conflict,
Wait,
perhaps.
Stop. What?
Don't worry. There wasn't any blood, so it's probably nothing.
No, I've never heard that word before. So if you could, what does that mean?
It's very old Elvish slang. You probably haven't heard of it, but it means a incident.
Oh, okay. You're very hip. I understand.
I must have missed the word. What did you say?
Kerfuffle.
Oh, no, that's super made up. Cool.
All right. Kale turns the lights back to normal, and is Tibbs around, or he went into the back to get
So he
stuff?
comes back.
I'll
and
drop
he,
the
like,
invisibility when he rises up from the...
Well, he sort of like went around to grab some stuff, and he comes back around, standing up, like very, trying really hard to like look secure and put together. His shoulders are a little bit back, but like everything is very tense, and he's like very tightly gripping couple little pouches that he sets on the counter in front of in front of Wampum, and says, "Jerky."
Smile, Tibbs. Smile.
Oh,
Breathe. The key is to breathe.
10 seconds in, hold for 10 seconds, 6 seconds out.
Oh,
On a
don't
scale of 1 to 10, how stressed does he look?
look at him.
Like,
turned it up to 11, dude.
okay, so I'm gonna make prestidigitation and make little pink bubbles that make like little harp sounds like as they pop. I'm like the ale or the jerky.
All right.
It's time for my break. I'm gonna have a lie down.
Yes, we're very sorry.
Take the jerky. It's on the house. The rest of your bottles of liquor. Well, you can take them now and pay for them, or you can come back once you've dealt with things, and that would be my gift to you for helping things out. But I'm gonna go take slow deep breaths. Eh?
So we're talking about the horsewoman, right?
Yes,
you can't help.
The dark
You can't help but grin.
Just,
I'll give him 3 gold coins. That should pay for everything, probably.
Oh, several times over.
Yeah. Taslin is rich at this point and doesn't really care, so he's like, I know it's been a tough day, but things will get better, I promise.
He sees so much gold from one person and sort of a little bit starts to hyperventilate again, but then he like holds a breath, like Nos keeps trying to teach him, and lets it out slowly, nods his thanks, and just walks off.
Thanks, ICT.
Well, before you leave, where's the mayor's house?
The nearest house? I could show
the
you.
mayor's house.
Oh. Do I also know where that is?
Yeah, you found it, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know where that is, Kale. I can lead you there.
Oh, cool. How'd you find out which one was the mayor's house? Was it labeled?
Very good investigating.
Neon.
I like to think that I'm a little bit of a sleuth, if you will. Sometimes I need to find information.
Mm-hmm. Tell me more. Me, the cleric of a god of knowledge. Tell me more about finding information.
Well, I use my eyes and my ears.
What else? There's other senses, you know.
Oh, yes, like my intellect. But let's go.
That's not a sense at all.
I bet you he followed horse shit.
If you...
Yeah, I was gonna say brown eye. Follow the brown eye.
All right, I leave. Il exits the situation.
Tazin will lead them up that way.
Okay, great. All right. So, over you head to the mayor's house. You arrive at the door there, and presumably knock on the. You're such a polite party. Knock on the door, and the door is answered by a human woman. Who sort of looks, and she does sort of the same thing that like everyone has done when they see you. She looks at you, she like is about ready to smile and like have a conversation, and then realizes that you all are not wearing collars, and like has a little panic moment, and she like looks around and gestures, come inside, what are you all doing?
Thanks for the invite. We walk inside.
Yeah.
I assume. I do. I don't know about the rest.
I'll follow you. I'm gonna put an arm on Wampum, and I'm gonna try and see through Iskar and see just to test whether he's within 100 feet of me.
Oh, good question. I mean, I think probably the town hall is closest to the center of town, so the house is as well. So at this point, yes, I think so.
Okay. All right. And I'm assuming it's just like the guard barracks, and she's just doing some monotonous task. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, so she ushers you all inside, and she says, "What have I understand you must be new to town. And she's again this whole just like Iris was doing. She every now and again will reach up and touch her collar, and she says, "I'll send someone down."
10 seconds in, hold for 10 seconds, 6 seconds out. Every person in this village. We're very powerful. Calm down.
Well, we're here to help, regardless of how powerful we may or may not be. We heard about your problem. Mr. Tibbs told us all about it. Well, not all about it, actually. He told us some about it, and we believe that you could tell us a little bit more about it. What's, from your perspective, what's been happening in your town?
Especially with this horsewoman.
Dark Rider.
Dark Rider.
She sort of looks around a little bit confused momentarily, and she says, "Oh, you must be here to speak with my wife. I think there's been a bit of confusion. I'm not Mayor Brix. I'm Brix's wife, Gina.
Oh, geez,
but I'll go get her."
I apologize. We didn't do any introductions. My name is Kale Irvine. These are some other people.
Aslan.
Wow.
Wow.
All right.
Who I will allow to introduce themselves.
There it is.
Hi, I'm Nos.
Taslin.
Wampum Thunderbelly at your service.
Lafcadio, Whitehorn.
She says, "Well, if you all truly are here to help, it is a pleasure to meet you. I'll go get Brix and bring her back. Why don't you all?" And she sort of gestures to a little parlor area and says, "Why don't you all have a seat? And I'll be right back."
Well, sure, but before you do that, actually, if I can just ask you, I'm trying to get, I appreciate getting all perspectives on an issue before judging on it. So I'm sure that you have information that is valuable to resolving this mystery, whether you know it or not. So if you could just, whatever you know, if you could just share it with me before you go, as long as we're both here.
She looks uncomfortable. Why don't you make me a charisma persuasion check?
You got it. And just for all future references, would you prefer I do it in roll 20, or are you cool with me just rolling?
I'm cool with, if we're not in combat, I'm cool with whatever's easier for you all.
Okay. Roll that.
And by not combat, I mean if the Twitch stream can't see roll 20 anyway. It doesn't much matter to me.
11.
Oh, it went well. A what?
11. Big 11.
Oh, that's terrible. It's not good enough, but it's not terrible. She says, I'm sure I don't have anything helpful, but just please, whatever you do, make sure that Brix doesn't get herself killed. She cares so much about the people of this town, and she thinks that the guard needs to be protecting them and not her, and just anything you can do to resolve it quickly so that she is okay.
So in the midst of her speech, like before she even responds, I get out my tome, and I'm just kind of just holding on to it. And I'd like to channel my divinity and attempt to read her mind.
Aha! I love that.
So she needs to make a DC 18 Wisdom saving throw against having her mind read.
Wisdom saving throw.
It's a good thing you love that, because that happens.
A lot.
No, she does not succeed. So this is...
It's like the detect thoughts, yeah.
Okay, great. She... well... No ifs, ands, or buts about it, because you're reading her mind. She is absolutely certain that Councilwoman Enelin is behind it all. She has never... You can tell she's never really trusted Enelin, and she's thinking about stories that she heard about Enelin making deals with dark spirits in order to not be voted off the council in this last election.
Does it seem like, so I know I can only get surface thoughts, but does it seem like maybe she knows, like she's got more details pertinent to that? Or I guess, I don't know if I'd be able to pick up on that or not.
You would, because I think with the surface thoughts don't require a save, but if she fails the save, you can actually probe a little bit deeper, as I recall, detect thoughts.
With actual detect thoughts, correct. But with this, it's just I read the surface thoughts, I believe. Let me double check.
I could actually... I've got all your sheets up. I don't know why I'm not checking.
He's on the signature, blah, 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 blah. I can read its surface thoughts. And then, okay, yeah, I can only read surface thoughts. If I want to, though, I can cast the suggestion spell on her without her being able to make a saving throw against it.
Got it. Yeah, that's... I mean, really, like... what is on her mind right now is like she's very, very worried about her wife, and she very much believes that Enelin, like you see like visions, clearly like almost cartoonish in their like in how extreme they are, but you see like images that she's conjuring up of Councilwoman Enelin like wreathed in shadows and like dancing with dark spirits and demons and things like that.
Okay. Now I only have a minute to do this, so she says her thing, and then I immediately cut in. Now, I know this might seem a little bit pointed, and I apologize for doing this, but we heard some information that leads me to believe that it might be Councilwoman Enelin who is the main conspirator here with this issue. So I suggest that if you know anything pertinent about her that she has done, specifically, like any specific details you can give us, that you share it with us.
Her eyes get kind of wide, and she says, why don't you make me another charisma persuasion check with advantage this time?
Well, so what I just did was cast the suggestion.
Oh, you
spell.
did suggestion. Okay, you did suggestion.
Yeah. Yes.
Got it. So she says, it has to be her. She's been strange ever since she arrived, and she lives out by those woods where several people said they have seen the creature coming and going from, and explain how she is basically the only council person who was not voted out after this last year. It doesn't make sense any other way. But please don't tell Brix I mentioned her. He trusts her. She trusts her. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that information with us. I apologize for pressing you so much, but I was led to believe that you had a lot of pertinent information regarding this. So, again, thank you. And if you would like to go get your wife, then we will wait patiently.
She nods and looks a little shaky, but she goes out. And it's a lovely parlor. Yeah, Nos.
While she's out of the room.
Yeah.
Lafcadio, are you up to speed with everything? Do you understand what just happened?
What are you implying, mate? Are you suggesting that I'm daft?
No, because the next part of this is Kale. Do you mind if Lafcadio takes a whack at the mayor of this place?
Sure.
He is the best one
absolutely.
at convincing other people to help us.
People are comfortable in his presence.
Right.
It's because he's an awesome guy.
He's
And
also very fluffy.
It helps.
And he's the only one wearing a collar, so...
Although no one can see it at the moment.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. So, anything else that you all want to discuss while nobody is in the room with you all? It's a lovely parlor.
Just, Kale, if you have did you get any additional information from that exchange?
I'd like to look around the parlor.
Nothing that you guys didn't hear.
Great. You'd love to look around the parlor. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, it's lovely. You can tell that a lot of the furniture is sort of like very like clearly standard issue, came with the house. This is obviously like the mayor's residence, so the various mayors come and go. But it seems like Gina and Brix have sort of put their flavor, their touches on it. You see little tchotchkes and more personalized things sort of on some of the shelves. There's 2 big bookshelves, one on either side of the room, and some fairly comfortable sort of sofas and a little coffee table type thing in the center of the room. Nothing too fancy, but nice, well appointed.
Wampum will just stay by the window ever so often, just glancing out the window and seeing if there's any activity outside.
And again, like as you all were walking over here, it was the same thing. Like it's not that late in the day, but really nobody is out and about. And maybe there was a person, and maybe Wampum, you managed to spot a second person now while you're looking out the window that ventures outside. But anytime they do, they're always wearing collars, and they always move very quickly to wherever it is they're going. Great. So a few minutes pass. And Gina returns and she sort of smiles when she does it, like she knows that she's being a little over the top with this, but she sort of grandly presents her wife, Brix, who is a bright-smiled, curly red-haired halfling woman with a big old bandage around her throat. And she greets you all with a sort of raspy voice and says, "My wife tells me that you all are here to maybe help us out a bit. It's a pleasure to meet you." And I think we're going to take a little break there before we begin the conversation with Mayor Brix. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. We will be right back. We'll take a short little break, so go grab some water, grab a drink, go to the bathroom, and we'll be back with Mayor Brix shortly. Thanks for hanging out. Oh, and remember, while we're on break, if you want to enter the contest, type !ticket to enter to win one copy of, that's the one, to enter to win a copy of Uncaged, the Uncaged Anthology PDF, the awesome book that this adventure that we're currently running is from. We'll be right back, everybody. Thanks.
Bye.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. Hope you had a good little break. We most certainly did. Found out that Wampum's name is very close to the German word for majestic belly, if you weren't watching the chat. So we're all really enjoying that little fact. Welcome back. We left our adventurers. They were just about to have a little conversation with Mayor Brix, the mayor of this town. She came in. She's a halfling woman who came in with a bandage around her neck and a somewhat pained, raspy voice, but she seems happy to see you all. So she comes into the parlor pulls up a chair and has a seat and says, "Well, like I said, I'm really glad that you all are here. If you have in fact come to try and help us out, so what can I do for you?"
Well, we just got back from the tavern, Tibbs Tavern, and he and Iris, they got on to talking about how you guys have this problem with this dark rider going around killing people, and more or less that these folks are representatives of the current council of this here town. And by the looks of it, you look like you have also tussled with this character. Is that right?
She gets pretty serious as soon as you start sort of mentioning the particulars of it, and she says, "Yes, that's the long and short of it, I suppose. I had a run-in myself with her one of the first nights that she was seen. I don't know, 3, 4, 10 days ago, I suppose. At this point, I was celebrating my win in the election over at Tibbs Tavern at the Dry Forest, and was walking down. I'll be honest, was a little in my cups, but I was being escorted by the captain of the guard. We were walking down the road and heard hoofbeats, which I don't know if you've noticed, but our farmers have horses to pull plows and things, but we're not much of a horse riding community here. It's a small enough town that don't really need help getting around. So we both thought it was unusual, turned to see who was galloping at such a clip towards us. I felt something graze the side of my neck, and sort of in that moment of high adrenaline, didn't really know what had happened other than something bad. So I bolted to hide, but before I could get too far, something collapsed on top of me, and I was pinned on the ground underneath something. Heard total silence after that. I could see dark, pure black horse hooves in front of me, and I could just barely see the figure of this tall, headless woman walking the streets. I realized after a moment I think she was looking for me, and so I stayed very still and very quiet, hoping that she either wouldn't see me or think I was dead. She had a wicked long blade at her hip, and a whip that looked like it was made out of some creature's spine. It was horrifying to behold, I have to tell you. And on her head, on the top of her neck where her head should have been, was a carved jack-o'-lantern pumpkin with a horrifying sort of grin carved into it. Wasn't natural at all. Anyway, she looked around for a while and then eventually remounted her horse and galloped off towards the forest. I stayed there for quite a while to make sure she wasn't coming back. Eventually realized what was on top of me, which sort of paralyzed me in fear and despair for a while. It was the captain of the guard's body. I only noticed that she was on top of me when I turned my head to the side and saw her head about 10 feet off to the left. And anyway, I got myself out from underneath her, got myself patched up by the local doctor, told not to leave the house again, but I don't see how I can possibly do that. I didn't become mayor to sit in my house and do nothing. Confirmation process or not, somebody needs to listen to everyone who lives here. I can't not go to the town hall and listen to concerns and deal with the governing of this town. So anyway, after a while, after a few days, when the horsewoman was seen again and started killing other people, I think that she's still looking for me. And, well, something has to be done.
Throughout the course of this tale, Nos slowly puts the collar on.
Also, throughout the course of the tale, Lafcadio will put a comforting and reassuring hand on the mayor's shoulder, if she'll accept it.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah. And I'll say, "Oh, that sounds dreadful. I'm sorry you went through that."
She nods her thanks.
Well, I think we're certainly equipped to deal with the situation should we come across this Dark Rider. But I guess it would help if we could learn a bit more about the circumstances, so we could find out, where maybe she resides or how we can lure her out. So it sounds from your account like the rider didn't show up until after the election. Is that right?
Yes, it was after my celebration. There was a process after the official election. Took some time to count the votes and make everything official. And once that was all done, I had a celebration at the dry forest, and that was the night that it happened.
And Tibbs let us know that almost all the council was replaced. Maybe it was due to the how things were working out last year, or maybe it was just the drought or whatever. But almost all of the council was replaced. Is that right?
She says, "Yeah, that's part of what took so long. Was with that much of the council being replaced, everybody involved wanted to really make sure that there was no doubt in the counts and that everything was sort of I's dotted and T's crossed, just so there was no question. So, yeah."
So, almost a complete turnover. Excuse me. Almost a complete turnover of the council, except for this Councilwoman Enelin.
Brix sort of almost smiles and she says, "Yes, Councilwoman Enelin was a councilwoman before and remains one. I hope Gina hasn't been talking your ear off about her. I know she doesn't trust her, but Councilwoman Enelin is a good woman. A bit strange, perhaps, but smart, and she's done right by this town."
Well, clearly, if the town was fed up by everyone except for this councilwoman, and you guys, counted and double-checked and triple-checked all the votes, clearly she's doing something right, or at least beloved by the town.
She says, "Well, I don't know about beloved. I mean, this isn't public knowledge around, but it seems important that you all know, since you're going to be helping us out in investigating, that Councilwoman Enelin was received the fewest votes of any of the council people that were elected this time, and she only got a few more votes than the person after her. So it certainly wasn't a landslide win for her by any means."
All right. Well, are there any other council people who were elected this time around and are still alive?
She says, "Yes, fortunately we sort of figured out what was going on quickly enough that we only lost 3 of the council of 8, which is 3 more than I am entirely comfortable with, to tell you the truth, especially knowing, like I am sure that I do, that ultimately I am the target. It's my fault and my responsibility that this has continued to happen."
All right, so there's a council of 8, and are you part of that 8, or are you in addition to the 8?
In addition, tie-breaking vote and all of that.
All right, so if it just started happening after the election, then I guess, and I'll look over at Kale and Paislin, and I'll say, if I had to take an educated guess, I'd say it was, someone of the old council or the old mayor would have a reason to be upset about the change of events.
That is true, but what do they have to gain? it would be more beneficial for someone who was not in this election to utilize this disaster to become a champion, especially if they had control over it, to simply make it go away and secure one of the open positions at the next election, guaranteeing a landslide vote. No?
I suppose it's possible. I hadn't really thought about that. If I were to... it's sort of a long way off, though. If I were to fall to this woman's blade, the council person who garnered the most votes of the 8 of them would ascend to the mayor until our next election in 2 years' time. So it's not exactly a get-rich-quick scheme, as they say.
However, if they're targeting all of the council members, then they simply need to play a waiting game over those 2 years to eliminate all of you.
It's not impossible, I suppose. No, I hadn't really considered that in trying to sort through it all on my own.
Alternatively, my other thought is they may not potentially be going after a political seat. Have you, over your last period in office, were there any controversial or difficult decisions you may have made to anger someone or anyone?
Nos, did you also have a question real quick before she answers that one? I can get them both.
Do I get the sense that she is taking us for fools? Or
make me a wisdom insight check while she answers Taslin's next question. So she says, well, got it. Well, I mean, I've really only been in office, I guess it's almost 2 months now, and most of my governance has been pretty severely curtailed, what with everyone afraid to leave their houses. I don't think I've done anything terribly controversial, but maybe that's only because I haven't had much of a chance to do, well, much of anything. Nos, she seems... No, she does not. She seems genuinely grateful that you all are there and somewhat hopeful that you all will be able to do what she hasn't been able to so far.
Mr. Kale, since she's having such a hard time talking, since you are in a expert situation with the healing arts, it might be a good idea if you'd take a look at her wound and see if there may be anything that you may be able to do with it.
And thank you for speaking up. I was going to ask, but I was going to try and be a little bit more tactful about it.
Just say horsewoman again. Before you are able to offer anything specific, Kale, she sort of raises her hand to her bandage and she says, I truly appreciate it, but I wouldn't want you to spend even a drop of your magic on me now when there is something else out there to be taken care of. She says,
"Oh no, it's not my magic." And I'll grab the staff of healing. It's just all on the staff, and it gets its magic back every morning. It's not a big deal really at all.
She says, I mean, I suppose, but I want to make clear that if there's any chance that the magic that you spend, either from you or from the staff on me, might eventually be needed to help you all to solve this problem, then I want nothing of it at the moment.
Well, how about I just take a look at the wound first?
Yeah, I'd like to make an insight check. She's being awfully, subversive from healing.
Sure.
And usually people would probably be jumping at the bit for a little bit of healing. But a 10 probably won't do it.
Yeah, no, I mean, she genuinely seems like she is more concerned about, you all and the town, by extension, than herself. Sorry, what was that you had said, Kale?
If you, to assuage your fears a little bit, or assuage your fears a little bit, if I could just take a look at the wound first. I've read medical texts and I'm a little bit familiar. I would say I would be what you would call proficient in the healing arts.
Solid. She says, well, I suppose that certainly couldn't help. Hurt. That couldn't hurt. That was me, not her, screwing that up. So she she sort of reaches behind her neck and unties the bandage, and as she's about to pull it away, she says, "Now I assume you all, being very clearly experienced adventurers, are no strangers to wounds, but it's not pretty." And she pulls the bandage away, and it is, in fact, not pretty for several reasons. One, because it's a pretty horrible wound anyway. It sort of goes from the left side of her neck, from sort of the mid, and clearly has sort of cut into her the side of her trachea a little bit, which is why the voice. So that's sort of awful enough. The doctor, well, he did his job. That's about all you could say. The stitching is not clean, not well done. I mean, it has been cleaned, but it wasn't. There's certainly no finesse to the stitching, and you can see where like he sort of went over a stitch a couple of times, and like it just generally was not neatly done.
So you could say it's a hack
job.
Guys.
You're all fired. Yeah, so that.
Okay. I mean, Kale will kind of just get up in there and take a closer look at it and see if there's anything maybe he could do mundane-wise to fix it besides fix the stitching, I guess.
Yeah, go ahead and make a wisdom medicine check.
Big 18.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, at this point, the stitching sort of is what it is, and it's going to do its job. It's probably going to leave a scar, but that's, not the worst thing in the world. In terms of, like, the internal damage and whatever's sort of making her voice raspy, and clearly, like, the damage to her trachea and her windpipe, that is something that, from your examination, like, is either going to take quite a long time to heal fully, if it ever does truly heal fully, or some magic to...
Okay. So would I get the feeling that it would, when you say some magic, would that mean like a cure wounds at a certain level, or like a lesser restoration, or greater restoration?
No, probably a cure wounds, and frankly, it's yeah. I mean, a cure wounds would do it, and it wouldn't have to be a particularly high level one. It's just that
okay.
The way that he patched her up is not going to speed the healing process on its own any.
Right. So I will relay that information to her, basically like, yeah, it looks like the doctor did an alright job, it'll heal eventually, but your voice will never be the same again unless you let me heal you, but of course I don't want to do that without your consent, so would you like me to fix you up so that your voice is okay? I assure you that it will not eat up any resources that we're going to need later.
You should consent.
Well, that's...
That's a sentence. She's you know what? Make me a wisdom persuasion check. Charisma persuasion check, and you can go ahead and do it with advantage since most of the crew is sort of also encouraging her to let you do it, and also that it's not going to be a problem to use up a little magic from the staff.
Okay, 21.
Okay, so she says, I suppose it would be nice to be able to have a conversation of this length without feeling like I'm swallowing a bag full of hot nails. So, sure. I suppose so.
So I will bring the staff of healing to bear. And, kind of just gingerly touch it to the side of her neck and expend 2, whatchamacallums, charges on a second level cure wound spell.
The scientific name for it.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. Yeah, and she, you can see the interior stuff. Obviously, you're not going to be able to see clearly, but you can see the outside. The wound sort of heal up. The stitching sort of comes loose and comes out as the skin sort of knits itself together. There's a small line left over there, but nothing like what would have been there had she been left to heal naturally from those sutures. And she sort of swallows a few times and touches where the wound was, and she allows herself a smile for the first time since she started telling this rather ghastly story to you all. And she nods and sort of clears her throat. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm happy to help. But now, unless anybody else had any more questions, I feel like we've gotten enough information to at least justify the questioning of Councilwoman What's-Her-Face.
I do got one question I'd be knowing. When be the last time that you seen this horsewoman?
She says, well, I haven't seen her myself since that first night, but Gina has been pretty insistent that I not leave the house after dark and leave with some guards anytime during the day that I insist on going to the town hall. So I've not seen her myself since then, but I know others have.
How about reports?
The last report I heard of her was perhaps 2 days past.
And is there some type of frequency that she be showing herself?
Looking through the reports that have been brought to me, there's no real pattern to it. It's the longest, I believe, if I remember correctly, and I could check my records if you would like, but as far as I can remember, the longest that we went without seeing her was half a 10-day.
And if you don't mind me asking, what year is it?
She looks real confused at that question. What year was it?
We were in the 1490s, I think.
1493 is the last year that I am aware of in terms of like canon stuff, but I don't know what year you all were in. Shall we say 1493? Should we say 1492 to give us some room? Great.
So might be better actually, because it was supposed to take place after all the written.
Okay, great. So it was 1494. Great, I love that. So she tells you that it is just a few months into 1495.
Great, good to know.
Perfect.
Fortunately, they use Dale Reckoning in this town, or that could have gotten real confusing for you all. It's 642. What?
Since when? Okay.
I have a question.
Sure.
If you'd be so kind. I don't represent this group. I only represent myself when I say this.
She's like, okay.
Disclaimer. Do you mind if we have a look around? I say this not to imply that you have anything of interest, but in these cases where no one's quite sure who the culprit is, sometimes evidence can be planted, or there's evidence that points to somewhere else that you would never find unless you were a fresh set of eyes.
She says, well, it certainly doesn't bother me. Gina will be a bit put out that you're not heading straight for Enelon's, but I'll speak with her. But no, no, not at all.
Thank you.
Of course.
Do you have any sort of personal history with Councilwoman Enelon that would cause Gina to be, I don't know, jealous or something?
No, not at all. Gina is from a much larger city originally, and she has more experience than many of us that come from the backwaters, as she likes to tease me, with magic and both the darker and lighter sides of it. And I think that has brewed to be fair, a healthy suspicion of magic in her. But honestly, Enelon has been here for several years now, and I have never had any reason to distrust her. The rumors that accompanied her here were nothing more than idle gossip of bored townsfolk.
Okay.
She's a councilwoman, correct?
She is.
Or the mayor? I can't remember. Councilwoman, would you allow me to...
Oh, no, this is the mayor. I'm sorry. I thought you meant Enelon. Yes, this is the mayor.
Mayor, would you allow me to cast a spell on you? I will tell you exactly what it does, but just to aid in our investigation, I find that it may be necessary. Just in case this attack was not actually done by this headless Dark Rider, and instead your memories were modified.
She looks horrified at that idea. She says that you can do that?
We have encountered individuals capable of doing this in the past, or And I would feel much more at ease knowing that your memory and recollection of these events is 100% factual.
T.
Absolutely.
Hey, T. Can you do that?
Yes.
Have you ever done it to
no,
me?
I cannot personally use
Oh, boy.
that spell.
Oh, boy.
It is not in my repertoire of magical knowledge. I am much more versed in evocation, if you will, and I dabble in other fields.
I'm going to say I believe you because we are homies, and you would never lie to me.
I would never lie.
You would never lie to me because you know what that would do.
I mean, you see me throwing fireballs and scorching rays almost every fight. That's all evocation.
Okay.
Acting backpedals.
So I'm gonna, if she's okay with it,
Yeah.
cast Dispel Magic
Yeah.
at, let's see, what level am I willing to waste on her? We'll go with a 4th level,
Sure.
just to verify that she has no spells currently on her.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me a second. Why don't... oh, come on, type. Thank you. I set up a second monitor to keep things organized, and it's mostly just confusing me. Why don't you make me, before you cast this, make me an Intelligence Arcana check, please.
Sure.
Taz.
That's a 20.
Great. So you, for what it's worth, you know that since it sounds like you all have encountered modified memories before, Tazlin, you are aware that Modify Memory is a 5th level spell, for what that's worth.
Okay, so yeah, I'll upcast it to 5th level then.
Great. Okay. All right. So you cast it, and she sort of like she watches you. She's fascinated by the somatic components required for this spell, and she sort of shivers when it lands over her. And then she sort of looks at you and says, "Is that it?"
Tell me how the event happened again.
And she gives you sort of an abbreviated version because she clearly doesn't super want to relive the whole thing again.
But was it like match up?
Yeah.
Perfect.
The story hasn't changed. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. And Tasman will just go, well, her memories weren't modified. That is what happened. And he'll just kind of go back to the door and he'll be like, well, you guys take the lead.
I am not going to sleep well tonight.
So before we leave, Teslin, I was trying to narrow down a list of suspects to the 7 council people who aren't Councilwoman Inelin and the previous mayor. But you seem to be of a mind that it could be still anyone, that that particular group of people isn't any more suspicious than anyone else. Is that right?
I don't have enough information to base a steady beat on any one individual, so I keep my options open so as to not neglect possible villains, if you will, from the spotlight. It's too easy to be strung up in a wild goose chase targeting one individual, while the other individual is given time to prepare and adjust their strategy. We can assume if this individual, or if this being is even controlled by an individual, that they may know that we are already beginning to investigate it. Which means they potentially may not even strike tonight. They may wait for us to leave. Or they may need to be lured out. This is hush-hush, by the way, at this part.
Sure.
They may need to be lured out by a target they couldn't refuse in attacking or utilizing this resource, if it's an individual that is controlling this Dark Rider. Alternatively, we can't rule out that this Dark Rider isn't some manifestation or magical-based anomaly that is simply roaming the land, targeting individuals it can find every few nights.
Gina in a costume.
It's Gina in a costume. She, Brick speaks up and says, for what it's worth, and it may not be worth much, because obviously I haven't been able to follow this to any conclusion, but you mentioned the 7 council members and not the ex-mayor, and I hate to speak ill of Andy's, but I wouldn't roll him out. We have quite differing political views and have had heated disagreements in the past. That said, as far as I know, he's not one to invoke dark spirits either, so maybe that's a dead-end lead.
Don't you think it would be too easy if it was him? Don't you think the case would be closed if it was him?
She sort of nods and says, I suppose you have a point.
So I didn't mean to exclude the ex-mayor. If I did that, that was not my intention. I wanted to include the ex-mayor and the 7 council people, but looks like it's a moot point. Anyway, let's go chat with Councilwoman Enelin.
That sounds like as good a place as any. I'm going to check in with Iskar at the moment, if possible.
Yeah. So Iris has gone to patrol one of the to stand at one of the town gates and took the kitty with her. So he's sort of curled up in a little corner of sunlight, just inside the town gate.
Okay. Can I roll a perception check for him to see if he notices anything from his lazy sunbathing position?
Certainly.
All right.
What is it? Oh my god, what's the perception check?
What is it? That is a 14.
14. Nothing particularly out of the ordinary. I mean, again, like, you know, the ordinary has become, for this town, has become basically nobody out and about. But, you know, other than that, no, not really.
Okay.
Iris is tense and nervous, but not any more so than she was when you first met her.
Yeah. Are there any other guards, or is she posted alone?
She's with one other, with a male, human man guard.
Okay.
Human man? That was horrible. I'm so sorry. I don't know what that... It's a dude. She's with a dude.
Okay. Yeah, so I will just kind of eyes roll back, and I'm like, oh, okay.
So creepy.
Yeah. When we leave the mayor's house, I presume, is that... look.
Yeah, so as you all start... yes? Heading out?
Well, we were going to look
around,
search
the house? Yeah, you want to look around.
Right.
Okay. So as you all begin to sort of do that, to look around, Gina comes back, and she sees that Brix has the bandage off, and like runs over to her and is like, why did she tries to grab for it and put it back on, and she realizes, she sees the sort of healed wound, and she looks around and she looks at you all and back at Brix, and Brix just sort of nods and gestures to you all, and she just like she falls to her knees, not because she's totally overcome, but because her wife is a halfling, and and gives her wife just a giant hug, and Brick sort of, you know, chuckles and hugs her back and gestures to you all and says, please feel free to look around, and let me know if you need anything. And those two are clearly sort of having a little moment.
Yeah. Wampum will exit the mansion and go find himself a seat on the front porch while everybody else are...
I was sure that you were going to say a seat at the tavern, and I was like, way to split that party again.
I'll go with Wampum.
Okay, great.
Taslin will also use this time to cast message, because he knows that Iris is within 100 feet of him. So,
sure.
And he has a range of 120, and he'll just say, this is Taslin, we met at the bar, Iskar is with you. You can reply to this. I'm just checking in. I have just met with the mayor. We are on the job. Be careful. You can reply to this message at the end.
I'm not sure that you've ever experienced this before, but like part of her reply message is her like
like hyperventilating.
Yes. So that's a few words. Is her just hyperventilating at the voice that popped up in her head. But she replies that like all is well here. The cat has been very nice.
Yeah. I think knowing how like crazy it is over there, Iskar will probably be just like nuzzling up against her, kind of calm her down.
Sure. Love that.
And then I'll use the cantrip message again, and I'll just say, I'll try to stay within reach. I may not always be within reach. I will stay in touch every 25 minutes or so, or every 20 minutes or so. Expect a message.
She sort of nervously laughs back in her response. She goes, okay, thanks for the heads up.
I'd like to stay with the ladies while Kale and Nos, maybe, I don't know if they're both investigating the place, and I'll take my collar off and I'll give it to the to Mayor Bricks. I'll say, here you go, so you don't get that problem again.
Quite large on Bricks. Sort of, what is that character? It sort of goes like up just past her mouth. When she, like, it sits on her collarbone and sort of covers all the way up to here, and she puts it on because Gina sort of forces her to, and so once it's on, she goes, thanks, I suppose. So Nas and Kale, are you both sort of just doing a quick reconnoiter of the house?
Yes, I will investigate the house for anything that looks fiendish or fayish, or anything extra planar, I guess.
Okay, Nas, same sort of deal.
I will actually go back over every single thing that Kale is checking.
Okay.
Hoping to help him out.
Okay, amazing. All right. So do you want to give Kale advantage then?
That's the intent. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So Kale, you can intelligence investigation or wisdom perception.
Oh,
I'll take either for this. Yeah, I mean,
that would be and then that and then more. 25.
Okay. There's not really... So you don't... in terms of anything that very clearly belongs to Bricks and Gina, sort of nothing out of the ordinary, no sort of talismans or magic sigils or whatever. Excuse me, nothing planar in here. You definitely notice a few places where they haven't sort of fully been able to remove Andy's sort of mark on the house. You notice just a few, like for example, the desk in Brix's office. Like there is a corner of the desk that clearly like somebody, and just knowing Brix as you do now, like you feel like it's probably not her. Like somebody would like dig at the wood of the corner with like a little dagger or like maybe a letter opener or something. Like there's just little scars on the table. You notice a few, you sort of take a closer look at some of the books on the various bookshelves, and there are some books about, I guess here there is a little bit of planar information. There are a few books about the Shadowfell and the Feywild, but super basic. Like, I'm not talking like how to get there. I'm talking like these places exist, and here is a primer for them. Primer, whatever. Yeah, so just sort of little things like that. Marks of Andy's that sort of haven't been able to be removed.
Are there any books that seem particularly like out of place for any reason? Like, I imagine there's some sort of theme to the books.
Yeah, for the most part, they're pretty well organized. I mean, the ones that you find that are... So most of the books in the house sort of very clearly are about the history of the area, and maybe a few about governance, and a few about farming, and sort of things that, like, just a well-informed governmental leader would want to know. And then there is this section where you find the book on the Shadowfell, the book on the Feywild, some super basic magic things, but I mean, not, again, like... Maybe they have some basic instructions for like prestidigitation in there, right? Nothing terribly complex. And those seem out of place just because they're very obviously like in the section all to their own.
Okay. And I don't find any like secret passages or any crap like that.
No.
Maybe we shouldn't rule this Andy's guy out if he's as violent as it looks.
Well, it doesn't necessarily need to be violent. It's just it might be just kind of a nervous tick, or it could be anything. But
it looks like a damn rat's gone at it.
Yes, you're right. I haven't ruled anyone out. I appreciate your input, as always.
I guess I'm talking to myself.
So, Wampum, what are your thoughts?
Well, at first I wasn't trusting that little halfling.
She was awfully,
Short.
she was short. That is quite true. On top of that, her unwillingness to accept healing was a little bit suspicious.
I knew I just felt like we weren't going to find anything under there.
I know. May I propose a plan between the two of us? This is a brainstorming plan. It's not necessarily what we're going to go with, but supposedly this creature is going after the halfling. If we were to dig up a body or find a dead body, I could animate said body and then make it appear to be the halfling. We put the halfling, or zombie, walking down the street, the rider shows up, and we do what we do best and kill it.
Well, how about we go one step further?
Okay.
Further, yeah.
Between you and Left Cardio, can't you change me into that halfling?
I most certainly can.
So we can definitely give the I love saying horsewoman.
Taslim's not going to judge you for saying it.
But we can definitely give that horsewoman a kind of like a dwarven welcome.
Oh, I do like this. So here's what I was thinking. You know how I have that tentacle spell, correct?
Aye.
The minute she starts charging for you, I summon that behind her. She has no way to escape except for head towards you.
Aye.
I use my wand of web to shoot the other exit, so if she gets past you, her horse will get stuck in the web.
You be spreading all over the place, ain't she?
I don't want her to get away and know we're after her. If we reveal our cards, I want her either A, dead, B, unconscious and tied up, or C, we have control of her.
I'd be trusting your magical ability, but I just say we kill her.
I don't disagree. I call dibs on the horse.
Oh my god.
No. You done got yourself a camel.
That is true. That is true. But black things are kind of my motivation.
I want the horse.
We'll play a game of dice for it after.
Go.
No, I say we have a slapping contest after.
A slapping contest? Obviously, I'd lose.
Exactly.
We'll have Nos deal us each a hand of cards. If I win, I get the horse. If you win, you get the horse. If I win, you also get the camel, though.
Do what?
So if I win the horse, you will get the camel.
Nah. Okay.
And I'll shake hands or offer my hand out.
Wampum shakes, but at the same time, he squeezes shit out.
Ow. He like shakes it off, like facing away, and then he'll keep watching the streets.
Amazing. So we cut back inside. As you all are, so Nos and Kale, you all have sort of wrapped up your exploration of the house. Was there anything else that you wanted to sort of ask me about? It was a decent check, Kale.
Just decent, huh?
All right.
It was adequate.
All right.
Yeah. So you all are you're back together, heading outside. Gina has sort of collected herself, thanked you all profusely, and the two of them have escorted you back towards the front door. And as Gina goes to open the door, Brix just says to you, just for the record, Annalyn, Gina, I know you have your feelings about her, and I have mine, and I've made them known. You all should know, I do believe she is a good woman. I trust her. She is a little, how shall I say it, paranoid? So just keep your wits about you if you are going to go see her.
Is that
I'm sure.
part
What's
that's,
that?
Is that the part that's weird about her? You
Yeah.
say she's weird. Is she just paranoid?
I think yes. I think that's what people pick up on.
Okay.
I don't know a ton about her before she came here, and yeah, she keeps a close guard on her property, which is of course her right. But keep your wits about you if you're going to go visit her.
Will do.
Do you have a quick legal note you could write that says we're investigating this so she doesn't act hostily?
I can't imagine she would act hostilely, but if you would like something, I'm sure I could whip something up if you like.
Of course, that would be excellent.
So she'll just write out a little thing and sort of seal it with she's got a wax stamp that she'll seal it with.
It's like associate deputy.
Associate assistant deputy to you. Whatever. Cool. So, what are we doing? Since apparently Taslan and Wampum have quite the plan.
Yeah, so we'll walk outside and I'll be like, alright, so everything kind of checked out in there. How are you guys doing out here? You didn't make any insane plans that don't involve the rest of the group or anything like that? Great.
Jump up for a second.
Especially when it involves that horsewoman.
Awesome. As always, you are a beacon of light in a bleak, bleak world, Wampum. And I'm so glad you're here. Just every day.
I was thinking.
Says they can do what they want.
I was thinking I had some time to chat with the mayor, and I think I can do a pretty good approximation of her with my magic. Obviously, there's a height difference, so maybe if I sat on a horse, it would be less obvious. But if we think that this Dark Rider is after the mayor, I could, in the guise of this halfling, just ride out in the middle of town and wait.
Well, I would suggest that, Wampum's head is probably the hardest to cut off, and he's closest to the same size, so... Because his neck is so thick, right?
Gives Wampum the best, like, I told you so, like, they're 5 seconds behind.
Ye does have a good brain in ye, but we had been discussing, and we've come up with a plan that between you and Taslan, you be making me that halfling.
Oh no.
I will explain the entire plan to them because I don't want to just, like, as we're walking,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna, I'll cut them into what we were talking about, and if they have input, they can let it in while we're walking.
All right. Well, that it certainly makes sense to make you the center and star attraction. However, I don't have the ability to disguise you. My magic only allows me to disguise myself.
I can disguise. Let's see. As I pull up the spell, I can disguise any number of creatures. I can disguise us all as the halfling if I had to.
Well, that's...
What is that one? Mirage?
Seeming?
No. Seeming.
Yeah.
God, just a horde of bricks.
Everyone
down
is
the
the mayor
street.
today. I could transform some of us into, like, barrels, maybe, on the side of the road.
I think when it comes to a headless target, it's got no eyes.
Well, it has the pumpkin head.
Right.
She said.
Does that make sense to you?
Carved gourd.
It's
Honestly,
an effeminate pumpkin head, because that's how you would tell.
Hell,
The things that
forgive
we've
me,
seen, things don't really necessarily need to make sense anymore for them to be true.
I'm unfamiliar with.
Yeah, hello.
I've been following so far.
If we were to acquire this pumpkin head, could we scry this figure if it gets away?
One step at a time. Okay, that's...
Is all of this being discussed while you're heading towards an
Yeah.
old house? Or are we not even on the road yet?
No, we're
We're
walking.
just all like in
walking
the
and talking.
foyer of the mayor's house. No,
Sure.
it's- Yeah, no, I imagine we were having this conversation like on the porch or something.
Great.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm just curious.
But yeah, okay, so we could do that, or I mean, we want to question Enelin first, right?
Sure.
Of course.
So
Supposedly would take course after we talk to her anyways.
right, so that's a great plan for later. Immediately, though, I suppose we could go to Enelin's house, which I'm sure someone has told us where it is, or Taslin, you found the house with the sign in front of it that said Enelin's house.
Totally.
Okay, great. So
It's the one by the
Lafcadio-
forest.
Yeah, it's the one that's that way, and I'll point the way the horse ran.
house that's by the forest somehow. Okay, so Lafcadio, obviously you are the friendliest face here, and
Oh,
people
go
seem
on.
to like. Well, mostly
Aw.
Mostly it's because you can, have whatever face you want. But also, I mean, you know how to talk to people. So
Aw.
you go ahead and do that and try and find out whatever you can find out. You're a reasonably intelligent person. I assume you know which questions you should ask. While you're doing that, I will not be there in the immediate vicinity. I will use my abilities of divination to scout around the house and see if maybe I can get inside it and take a look around.
Okay.
Is that okay with everyone else as well?
I don't necessarily see my part in this part of the plan.
Yeah, no.
Claudio
just
is
hang
speaking
back.
with her.
Yep.
Would it be beneficial for him to look like the wife to be coming over? Well, actually, you probably couldn't sound like her, could you?
I do really good impressions, mate, but I don't see the value in it yet.
Perhaps
Right.
I'm simply jumping to conclusions, but they seem to have a negative relation.
Well, then I definitely don't want to do that.
Yeah, that seems like it would be a terrible idea.
Alright, all you intelligence people is giving me a headache. We needs to get to this woman and talk to her.
Are you sure you don't just need another drink?
I was about to say, it sounds like a hangover to me.
No,
Well, that's a bit premature.
dwarves don't get hangovers.
All right, I'm gonna go talk to this councilwoman. Who's with me and who's staying with Kale? Because we can't. You don't want to just have Kale all by his lonesome.
I'll stay with Kale.
I'd be going with G.
I'll go with Kale.
All right, me and Wampum to the councilwoman.
Fantastic. Let's start with you two, then, to the councilwomen. Let me take a quick look at your character sheets.
Oh, I don't like the sound of that at all.
Okay,
You don't even know
fantastic.
what their stats are like. That's...
My passive perception is 15.
Yes, and Wampum's is 18. So, you begin to make your way down the path towards the woods. Her house is, Councilwoman Enelin's house is just a little ways into the woods, not terribly far. And so you approach you follow down the path. It's a pretty easy path to follow. And you just get towards the edge, right towards the edge of the forest. And hey, Wampum, you notice that that on the ground, right in the middle of the path, on the edge of these woods, it's well concealed, but there is definitely a big old hole in the ground that's been covered up by leaves and sticks and such. And your friend Lefcadio is walking straight for it.
Lefcadio,
What's up?
stop where he is. Now, if he was Kale, I'd be having second thoughts about you keeping walking. But there'd be a pit right in front of you.
Really?
It probably ain't no good.
All right, well, I'll avoid it then. Can you point it out? Because I'm having difficulty making out the edges.
Wampum will go over with the axe and move the limbs.
Yeah, and you can see it's a good sized and not a shallow pit. I mean, it wouldn't have killed you, but it would have hurt.
Well, thanks, mate. That looks like it would have hurt.
A little bit.
All right, well, let's now, since there was a pit that I nearly walked into, I think I'm going to walk a little bit slower and actively try to see if there's anything that I'm about to
Sure.
step into?
Sure. Why don't you then make me a wisdom perception check? Wampum, you're welcome to make one as well, though your passive is higher than Lefkadio's, but you're welcome to make one as well if you'd like. All right. One higher than your passive. What we got, Lefkadio?
I don't know why mine wants to take such a long time. But I'll
Just
click it
likes to
again.
keep us on edge. The suspense. It's got. Oh!
That was taking so long.
Yeah, it's a 7.
Oofta. Okay. So you are walking along down the. Oh, there's your crit. You're walking along down the road, down this path. You get into the woods, and Wampum, you see up ahead, just right in front of where Lefkadio is about to step. Something is stretched across the path. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, cat. Stop.
Again? I'm looking really hard this time.
And as you sort of say that, you turn around, Lefkadio, because that was a singularly terrible roll. What was it, a 2? Yeah. So you sort of turn around, and as you do, you just barely sort of nudge this tripwire that's behind you there. But I actually don't think, what's your AC? 18, right? Yeah. So you just barely nudge it, but fortunately Wampum alerted you that something was there, and so you notice that you've tripped this tripwire, and just sort of on instinct, you duck, and a swinging log drops down from the trees and swings right across the path where your head was moments ago, but it misses you. So
Does he land on all fours?
I mean, I don't want to take total control, but my guess is yes.
And is his tail poofy?
I don't know. Is it Lefkadio?
Yeah, I'm on edge. Wampum. Right out loud. How about you go first?
There it is.
This doesn't make any sense at all for me to be right in front of here.
Fantastic.
Right. Just because ye be asking, I'll go first.
Aw, that's... Why do I keep rolling the same damn trap? There it is. All right. So you all walk on a little further, and right before you get to... You can see clearly Ennelin's cottage in the woods there, and right before you get to it, Wampum, you don't even have to say anything if you don't want to. You just gently guide Lefkadio around another little tripwire that would have dropped a net on y'all's heads from the trees.
Like, what?
Do you really want me to trip it so you see what happens?
No, not since the last one. Please, thank you.
All right, just trust me. There's a net up there.
Oh, well, all right.
So you all then arrive at Ennelin's home. It's a cozy little, not little, but a cozy, well-sized cottage in the forest. There's a well-kept garden out front, growing vegetables. You also, why don't you both make me intelligence nature checks?
There's where I'm going to fail.
All right, that wasn't terrible.
Well, just because it's my sheet, maybe that I'll just roll a d20 because I got no modifiers on that.
Oh, there you go. That'll work.
Oh, that's taking a while.
Nope,
as well.
it's not. That's okay. Suspense. There it is. All right, that nature. Well, that's so many rolls. We're gonna go with the 12. So you notice, Lefkadio, you're able to identify. Actually, both of you can identify there are these beautiful flowers that you all see also growing in some of the garden beds that you both recognize as the beautiful but somewhat problematic sometimes nightshade flowers. And then there are these other strange looking black orchids, also beautiful in a sort of dark way, but you're not able to identify exactly what they are. You also both notice, as you sort of look around, that it looks like somebody might have left this house in a hurry. The front door is just hanging open. And with that little observation, we're going to hop back to the rest of the party, leave you in suspense for a moment, and hop back to Kale and Nos and the perfectly timed return of Tazlin. So what on earth are the three of you doing?
Well, my plan personally was to stay somewhere far out of sight, but not like too far that I couldn't run up to the mansion and say, or wherever this house is, and say like 2 rounds maybe, if combat were to happen. And get my Book of Denier, obviously, because that's my arcane focus, and run my hands over it and cast the Arcane Eye spell. Like the eye of Denier kind of like flashes, and then
That's what you wanted to do.
yeah. So then I would be like following the the other two, and then looking around everywhere and checking the house to see if I can find a 1 inch or smaller hole that the eye could go into. But if the door's wide open, then hey, I found it.
Right. Yeah, so you watched all of the various shenanigans that they got up to on the way there. Nos and Taslin, anything else while Kale is sort of keeping a magical eye on the rest of your party?
Is there a cozy space to sit at?
I'm sure you could find somewhere nice and cozy.
That's
sure.
exactly what Taslin is doing. He's like, I've done some hard lifting today. I'm going to sit
Great.
down.
Nos, anything?
More or less the same. I'm here to protect the squishies.
Sure. Love it. All right. So, Kale, you're able to relay everything that goes on as we continue to the rest of the party. So, we will then hop back as we watch Taslin and Nos settle in.
Real quick, one thing.
Yeah.
So if I'm in there, could I maybe make a nature check too?
Oh, yeah, absolutely you can. Sure.
Awesome. Not great. 14.
You're able to identify the nightshade. You notice the black orchids, but nothing comes to... I mean, they don't stand out as anything other than, oddly colored orchids.
Cool.
All right, so Lefcadio and Wampum, there you are.
Yeah.
Door is wide open.
Well, that's some pretty flowers right there. I ain't never seen no black ones.
Oh, I know one of them was particularly dangerous, but
Yeah, I know about the nightshade, but I don't know. That orchid looks a little bit more dangerous, don't it?
I don't really know, to tell you the truth. What I do know is all those traps back there are saying, don't come over here, and that open door is saying, come right in. I'm getting mixed messages. What do you think about that business?
I'm not paid to think. I paid to swing.
Well put.
Paying him?
I like it.
All right.
I like it a lot.
Then I'll call out unless you wanted to do anything with these flowers.
I don't think you need be calling out either.
So okay, I put my hand to my mouth. I'm like,
No.
what's wrong?
So, we be in the middle of an opening with the door open, and ye want to be calling attention to us?
Yeah, I don't want to enter uninvited.
I thought Nos taught you better than that.
That would be rude to just walk in uninvited like that. We just got to announce
No.
ourselves at least.
Let's walk up and let's knock on the door.
The door's open.
Well, then we just walk on in.
That's rude.
No, the
Going in a
door be
circle here.
open.
Well, we should announce ourselves. No, we should walk up and knock on the door, but the door's open. No, we got it. I love it.
But during this whole debate, the arcane eye is just going in the door.
Oh, okay, great. I'm gonna let this debate play out for just a moment more, and then I'll let you know you see Kale.
All right, so ye be thinking just to say, we's here.
Yeah, that was the idea. Just to, because like the lady that lives here, she obviously doesn't like visitors. So if we just walk in, she might blast us with something. Like
Well,
if we-
then I understands where's what she's saying, but the door be open and she could be in problem. She could be in danger. Something could have happened to her. So us being the very nice citizens that we is, we need to investigate why the door be open.
all right. Well then, after you, sir.
Aye.
So Wampum starts to walk up to the door.
Okay, fantastic. So, Kale, you sent the eye in while they were having this fantastic discussion, and so you see a little bit before either of them that the house, the inside of the house, it again looks like somebody sort of left in a hurry. There are books and papers sort of scattered about all over the floor. There's some bits of food also that were sort of scattered. A candle is knocked over on one of the tables, unlit candle, knocked over on one of the tables. And the back door of the cottage is also left open. Not quite as widely, but it is also open back there. If you would like, Kale, make me an intelligence investigation check, and then I'll hop back to these two.
That would be a big ol' what did I roll? Oh, 32.
Holy gods. Cool. So, let's see. What do you see? So a lot of the books that you see strewn about are books about the Shadowfell.
Okay.
And you also notice a map that sort of is lying next to one of them that has a I wasn't going to give you quite this much detail, but Jesus, a 32. It is clearly a map of the town and the surrounding woods, and there is an area not too terribly far from the cottage in the woods that's marked with an X, though there isn't any indication about what is there, just a very clearly hand-marked spot in the woods. So Lefkadio or Wampum rather, you walk up to the door and walk in?
Yes.
All right. So you see this scene as well. You see this books and food and candles and paper sort of strewn all over the place. Back door of the cottage left open as well. Yeah. What are you doing?
Hello.
No response.
Well, I guess the three bears done left.
I don't get that reference.
I understand. So, I'll let you be doing the investigation.
All right. Well, clearly someone left in a hurry. That's what it looks like to me.
You're right there. What's next?
Oh, this looks interesting here.
What's that?
Well,
Make me a Lefkadio, make me a wisdom survival check, and let's see if you do notice something interesting.
I went ahead and clicked the thing. Now it's going to take 5 minutes.
That's all right. As much as I would have loved. Okay, yeah. So you tell me. Oh, I see.
The survival would have been the same. So 8.
Okay, great. So yeah, you tell me what you see that is interesting, since it's.
Well, you can see by the display and the pattern of the papers that are strewn about, it's clear that there was a person in this house who,
Don't say.
who, mind you, left with great rapidity and alacrity.
You know what? That's why I brought you along.
Amazing. At that moment, as much as I love this, at that moment, Lefkadio and Wampum, you hear from the woods back behind the house, you hear it sort of through the back door, you hear absolutely terrified screaming coming from the woods. And that, I think, is where we're actually going to call it for this week. Awesome.
Maybe they're
Thanks so
having
much for
a
hanging
party.
out, everybody. That was a ton of fun. I'm so excited and so happy to be joining this crew and continuing to sort of just get up to shenanigans with them. I have left you on a cliffhanger this week, and I have terrible, terrible news, which is that it is a 2-week cliffhanger because I am going to be in LA next week at D&D Live, The Descent, which I'm super excited about, but unfortunately that means I will not be able to stream on Sunday night, as we'll be coming down on from D&D Live and closing out that event. So my apologies. I will see you all in 2 weeks on Sunday, May 26th for our next session to wrap up whatever Lefkadio and Wampum have heard coming from the woods. Let's do this. So first of all, if you haven't yet, and you've been watching and you want to enter the raffle to receive a PDF copy of the Uncaged Anthology, which is what this adventure comes from. Ghastly Grins is the name of this adventure, written by the lovely Judy Black, who is in the chat right this very moment. So if you would like to enter to receive a copy, please right now type !ticket into the chat. Your first ticket is free, and subsequent tickets cost 20 dragons, so definitely enter before we select that raffle. In the meantime, while you're all doing that, let's go around and just let us know who you are, who you played. If you are a social media person and would like to share where we can find you online, do that. And also, this is sort of a thing that I like to do with my streams, which is just to wrap things up and check in with each other. Let us know one of your particular favorite moments of the evening's adventures. Let us start with, I'm going to go in an actual order this time. So we're going to start with Graham.
Oh boy, on the spot. I'm Graham. I play Taslin. You can find me here on Sundays. I'm kind of a recluse on the weekends, so you can't find me online because I'm not creative. But my favorite part of today was Wampum and Taslin planning without the rest of the group.
Yeah, for definite sure. All right, let's hop over to John.
Hello, guys. I'm John. I'm Wampum. I'm playing the dwarf. So, I guess my most favorite part of the night would be, of course, the drinking.
Yeah, and boy, did he drink. I love it. Casey.
I am Casey H on social media. That's CASEY AECH. You can also find me over on the Greyhawk channel on Fridays at 5 p.m. EST, playing the Old Faith with NPC Bree in the gang. And you can also find me here on Tuesdays playing Professor Dr. Theodora the Storm Witch. On Tuesdays at 9 p.m. EST. That's right, Carl?
Yep.
Thanks. And then this Friday, right after the Old Faith, I will be guest starring over on Graham's game. And Graham, what channel is that again?
Oh boy, that's a tough one. That is Twitch TV/Niroki, which is NIROKIE.
Yep, that's
one of my wonderful players.
Awesome.
And I like it whenever any part of the group gets separated away from Kale. Let's be fair. Every time that happens, shenanigans ensues, and that's because we are so front-loaded with our information gatherer. It's like, he gets those 35s, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
he did.
Anytime any of us nitwits bumble around trying to find something, the Kale is obviously already on. It's very funny.
I love it. Well, speaking of it, it only seems fair that we should hop to Vinny next.
Sure. My name's Vinny. I exist on social media. I don't participate a whole lot. I am the Indolent Scuzz, or just Indolent Scuzz. There's no "the" in the beginning. I don't play any other games that get broadcast to anybody on Twitch. I did find out, I remembered recently, I have a WordPress page that I paid for a thing for, and I put stories on there 2 years ago. It's called scuzz.rip. It's scuzz.rip. There's 2 short stories that I put up in there, and I guess I'll probably write more things and put them there, but my name on social media is Indolent Scuzz, so I might not, but, we'll see.
Everybody run and follow, because this content is hot. Okay, Carl.
And my favorite moment...
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I think just everything that happened in the tavern was great. Just everything.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's pretty good. It's a great introduction for me to you guys, too. I got a blast. All right, now, Carl.
I am Carl. I play Lafcadio Whitehorn in this game, and I play Pelir de Winter on Tuesday nights here on this channel as well with Casey at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. My favorite bit about tonight also was everything in the tavern and just how many times we were able to, how many times John was able to break the DM. very entertaining for me to see the joy that was circulating around.
Yes, definitely. I had a blast. Once again, I'm Eugenio, also known as your friendly neighborhood dungeon master, DM Jazzy Hands. You can find me on social media at DM Jazzy Hands. You can find my podcast, The Last Refuge. I am the dungeon master of that podcast as well. You can find us on Twitter at DND Last Refuge or on our website, dndlastrefuge.com. We are on all of the podcast apps and things, including recently Spotify, so check us out. We are fast approaching our 100th episode, which will be fast followed by our 2-year anniversary, which is mind-blowing to me, but that's a thing. We release new episodes every Wednesday. Haven't missed a week yet, so go check us out there. You can also find me... I have a bunch of streams this summer. Which ones have actually started? You can find me on Fridays at 2 p.m. Eastern on Encounter Roleplay in Basilica of the Cudgel, a Greyhawk campaign where I am actually a player, and I'm playing the human cleric of Rao, the peace god, named Kaladin. And he's just a good old boy who likes to talk before he gets into a fight. So yeah, come check us out on Fridays at 2 p.m. I have some other streams that are going to be starting up in June, but I'll tell you all about those then. As I mentioned, also, we won't be here next week, unfortunately, because I'm going to be in LA, but you should definitely check out all of the awesome programming that's going to be coming out of D&D Live The Descent. Next weekend, we will be announcing Wizards of the Coast's next big published adventure that'll be released in the fall, and we're going to be playing around in and around that adventure all weekend. So there are 4 or 5 channels that we're going to be streaming to. I'm going to be playing in a game with some other podcast folks on Saturday morning next week. Saturday morning West Coast time. So that game starts at 2 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/DND Live 2, the number 2. So check out that game as well. Lots of stuff going on. Super exciting. I can't wait to... I'm super excited about this adventure that they're going to be publishing, and I can't wait to be able to share it with all of you. That is plenty from me. Lots of talking. Carl, are we ready to do a drawing? Are we good with that? Is that where we are now?
We sure are. We currently only have players in the raffle. So if any
nobody else
viewers,
wants to, I mean, look, that's fine.
They
But
probably already have it, so that makes sense.
I mean, Judy should definitely be in on this round.
So I'll go ahead and close the giveaway up here in just a second,
Alrighty.
In case anyone wants to just enter a ticket at the last second. But we will do the giveaway again in our next game 2 weeks from now.
fantastic.
So
So
if
we'll have
you
another
missed the
chance.
opportunity, so
And if and this is also totally a possibility, if you would like to buy your own copy, which would be fantastic, you should absolutely go over to the DMs Guild, search for Uncaged Anthology. This is volume 1. I was chatting very briefly with Ashley, who sort of headed up the project, and she is super excited about volume 2 that we're going to be announcing the dates there. I'm not involved. They are going to be announcing the release date for that, I think, pretty soon. So get your hands on volume 1 now, because there's going to be a lot to come, and it's all really great stuff, gorgeous art, brilliant adventures. So if you would like to support them financially, head on over to the DMs Guild and search for Uncaged Anthology.
and there's a link in chat for that right now.
Thank you very much.
All right, so the winner of this drawing is Graham.
Huzzah!
Congratulations, Graham.
Hi.
You will be the lucky winner.
Now I feel guilty.
No, don't feel guilty. It's great because you run things. It's all useful stuff.
True.
Just let's not send it to him until after we're done, so it doesn't go look at ghastly grins.
I promise not to look.
We will do this again on our next game.
Great. So spread the word, everybody. We will be back in 2 weeks. We will be giving away another PDF copy of Uncaged Anthology. We're going to be finishing out the adventure Ghastly Grins by Judy Black. You should also check her out on Twitter and stuff. Judy, you can put it in the chat if you want. Is it Judy Black Cloud? Is that your handle, my friend? I think so. Wait, I follow you. I'm going to go look so you can all follow her on Twitter as well. Yes, it is Judy Black Cloud. Go check her out and all of her stuff because she's awesome. Thanks so much for letting us use your adventure today. And thanks all of you for watching. I am so excited to be a part of this team for the next few months. Have a great night, everybody. We will see you in 2 weeks on the 26th.
Thanks, Judy.
Night, everybody.
Night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. And if you aren't quite done with watching talented folks tonight, we're going to go ahead and give a raid to MK is the Best, who is
Love that.
a player in a few other D&D games, but tonight she will be streaming the first game of What Remains of Edith Finch, and she is just starting right now, so stay tuned, and we will be there in a second.
I love that. Awesome. Love rating. Yay. Support other creators. Bye, everybody.
Good night.